Hello, crypto boys and ghouls, and welcome to our live stream for tonight as we get ready for the Thanksgiving holiday here in the US. I hope everyone is doing fantastic today, and yeah, we should have a exciting stream today. We're gonna give it a go. We're gonna try LAN 1.5, the updated build on the MAV server tonight for a little bit. We're going to also do a Rebellion card stat reveal. So a little bit of alpha for those Rebellion fans out there. Should be fun. Let's see who we got in the chat tonight. We've got Stock Jockey, Uncle Matt will make you rich for sure. Bird, Bees, and Trees is here. Play-Doh, fellow landmate here in San 98. Our castle holder. So Play-Doh will be getting a preview of all the taxes he's going to be able to get from me coming up here, hopefully on Tuesday. What's the chat with land? Is 28th likely, or will it be pushed back? Asked Jason Jenkins. It's a good question. I haven't been in Discord, so I don't know if there's any interesting tidbits in there, to be honest with you. I figure we'll test it tonight, and if it looks good tonight, well, maybe it's looking good for the 28th. I guess we'll find out. Supreme Victory Studios, hello, welcome to the stream. Bird, Bees, and Trees has been watching a lot of random poker hands. Okay, getting ready for that next poker stream. Start the studying and practicing now. Good stuff, good stuff. Well, let's see here. Let me switch over here. Let's see. Let's go over to the MAV server. Let's see what we can see. I gotta send one message real quick. Apologies here as we're getting things set up. Just dropping a message here. All right. Bananas, welcome to the stream as well. Time crystals don't seem to work half the time. All right. That's not good. We'll test that here in just a minute here. Eli Ross, what's going on? I am doing well. Done for work for the week here, so getting some time to stream and just relax, which is nice. Hopefully everyone's doing well. Sorry, I'm just messaging here, 1 second. We're possibly arranging a special guest for the stream tonight. So just doing that in real time. All right, so let's get back to the business here. So yeah, I mean, the production screen here is looking good. It's showing the correct regions for us, which is already an improvement. I guess, let's see here. I mean, I think if I was doing this for reals, I would want to claim my totems, right? I want to claim my totems and I want to transfer grain, I think is the thing, right? Transfer grain from my inventory. And okay, so if it's already, so it's not by region, right? So this grain will work. I'm not going to transfer it to myself. So it looks like the grain is based on your account. It's not based on a region at this point. So I don't need to transfer grain, it looks like. That's good news. Let's see about claiming totems. Claim deeds. How do we claim totems again? I should probably figure this out pretty quickly here. These are plots, tracks, regions. Let's see. Redeem. Okay, we're gonna redeem these. Common totems, we're gonna redeem 4 of these to get started, to make sure we can use those before land starts. What's going on, Merlin's Matrix? We're gonna do a rare one as well. We just have 1 of those. Do not have very many totems, unfortunately. Alright, so we claimed 4 commons and 1 rare. So that looks like it's working. Let's go back into land. Let's go to production. And let's get this started. Let's give it a try and see if we can break it. So let's go into San here. I'm gonna start with just a couple plots to try out. In my man, my spreadsheet text is so small here. It's kind of crazy. We're gonna have to fix that for the real deal. Hopefully on Tuesday. First one I want to start with is an epic natural. Is that right? That doesn't seem right, but we're gonna give it a try. Epic natural here. That's what my sheet's telling me is what we need to do. So we're in here. We're gonna go to managed. Sorry, I was on mute there. I was just talking to myself the whole time. Wow, that was fun. So let me catch up here on chats. Plato Zero is taking notes. That's awesome. Hopefully we can help you here with some tips and tricks. Bird Bees and Trees is asking if I'm doing any Splinter Forge. The answer is not currently. Just haven't had time, unfortunately. So been playing some Golem Overlord, getting some part there on a daily basis, but that's about it. Icy Flow's asking, have I checked out the Peak Monsters tool? Dave McCoy was saying it would take 30 minutes to set up a region. I have not checked the Peak Monsters tool, but I have a second tract. Maybe we can check out the Peak Monsters tool. Maybe I'll just set up a couple things here and then try the Peak Monsters tool for the second set of tests. Yeah, sorry I was on mute there, Icy. What's going on, Dragon? Welcome to the stream. Peak Monsters, according to Dragon, is supposed to be lots faster if you have a bunch of plots. Yeah, what is the URL for that, like mavs.peakmonsters.com? Let's take a look at the tool. I haven't looked at it, to be honest with you. Give me 1 second here. Let's see, is it Mavs? I don't know, that wasn't it. So this is the production Peak Monsters. There's a land calc. Maybe they haven't released it. You haven't seen it either, I see. Do you know what the Peak Monsters Mav server link is? Is it Mav or Mavs? Peakmonsters.com? I forget. I guess try. No. Yeah, I don't know. If someone has a URL for the Mav Peak Monsters site or tool, let me know. We can test it. All right, let's go ahead and let's go test a couple more plots. And I'm going to do some unit testing of land itself. See if some of the bugs that we were experiencing last time are fixed. Let's go to back to land. Let's go to 32, looks like. Is our next one. Occupied rare. Let's go to manage here. This is also a Rooney, looks like Legionnaire title and a common totem. Let's go Rooney, core, Legionnaire. I don't know why. I guess there's a reason to the madness here. We'll figure it out. So Sacred Unicorn, Daria Dragon Scale, Defender of Truth, Hydra, and Spirit Miner. That's what we want on here. All right, let's build this work site. Time crystals again. It's using a lot of time crystals there. That's like, I think that's like $70 or $80 in time crystals. Yikes. All right, let's see. Next one is 93, it looks like. $93 for us is going to be an occupied common. And just so everyone knows, we are doing a Rebellion card stat reveal here today on stream as well. So stick around for that. We'll give you some hints on what that's going to be as the stream goes on. We'll get that unveiled here at some point here during the stream, not too long. So here we're doing a Rooney Legionnaire common. So let's go here. Rooney, Legionnaire, Common, Corrupted Pegasus, Twisted Jester, 2 gold foil Corpse Fiends, and Grum. All right. So far, pretty smooth, other than a Tapos error here. We just wait for that to clear. I wonder if it took or not. Let's see. Did that work? I don't know. The Tapos error. Let's try it again. Guess that didn't work. So we'll go here, try again. And these shouldn't hopefully happen during the real go live with real servers. Let's see if that takes. Shard mine, time crystals, go. All right, that worked. Let's see here. It's mavs.peakmonsters. For some reason that wasn't working for me earlier. Because I did try that. Maybe it was because the market was on the end of it. Yeah, it was probably because the market was on the end of it. Okay, let's see. Let's get rid of this. I guess I need to log in, right? Give me a second here. We'll see if we can take a look at this. All right, I think we're set. Let's come back. So we got bulk open packs. We got land calcs. My land. Oops. All right, so here's my land. What can I do here? Autofill settings. Modern, wild, min PP. Let's view. Okay. Let's see. No negative bonus. Use 10% bonus only. Let's see. Configure. Sell, unlock, transfer, land calc. Just make sure it says test server. Yeah. Let's try it. Let's give it a try here. 26 is what we want to do next, it looks like. Which is a epic. Configure. I don't want to autofill because I have a strategy. I wonder how this is faster though. Like if I could preset it, it would be nice. But if I want to do it live, I'm not sure how this helps me. I don't know. I mean, if I look at this tool, I'm sure Jarvie could probably walk me through it. Like, it might save me a couple clicks, but can't add a Rooney. Can't add a title. Can't add a totem. I don't know what. That's not working for me. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure how this would, like if I already have everything in my spreadsheet, I'm not sure how this would help speed things up for me, but I guess we can look at that later. I guess I'd be okay using this interface. I'm not too opposed to it. If I could preload peak monsters with all the data and hit a button, then it might be useful. But if I can't preload it, I'm not sure how it helps me necessarily. All right, so I don't have a Rooney here actually. This is the first one we're going to do without a Rooney. No titles, no totems. So we're going to go conjure. 1, 2 conjures. 3 conjures. Clay golem. Crutch. And this is the first one that's going to require stake DEC for me. So let's go shard mine, time crystals, stake DEC. Okay, so now we're gonna stake the DEC. Now it's telling me I need 40,349. So we're staking in the correct region. I'm just gonna start with 500,000, just so I don't totally screw up land if it doesn't work. So it's gonna trigger a regional harvest. So it looks like you want to do this first because I don't have my taxes set up. So what I want to do is I want to set up my taxes before I trigger that harvest. Ideally, I would have done the DEC before I started putting anything on my land, basically. So in this case, I want to find my keep, which is 59, and set up my keep here, and then I'll set up the staked stuff. So we're going to go Rooney, Explorer, and a rare title. Let's go here. Explorer. So I'm out of titles and totems now. And we're doing Cast Dragon, Jared Scar. Oshur, 2 Oshurs and Pasilis. Where's Pasilis? There he is. Save that. So I'm getting a 43.7% tax rate with this. All right, so the tax rate is set. So now I can go in and stake DEC here. And if it triggers a harvest, not a big deal. So we stake the DEC. I mean, ideally, what I want to do is stake all my DEC to start, do it once so I don't trigger any harvest. Because remember, when you trigger a harvest, you have to pay that 1,000 grain every time you keep harvests. So, yeah, just, I guess, be careful with that. So I've got the DEC staked. I only want to probably do that during the live event. Excuse me, just once. I want to stake all my DEC at once, but because of the bug, last time I just did a subset of that. So you can see here, my workers were consuming 1,001 grain right now. And looks like we're producing 43 SPS per hour based on what we've got set up right now. Let's go ahead and finish this construction for this epic shard mine, time crystals build. All right, so far so good. The DC staking works, the production dashboard works, and we're in business here. I'm probably not going to bore you with loading a whole bunch more plots. And we've loaded, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've loaded 6 plots here without issue. Yeah, we've figured out the staking, the harvesting. The grain doesn't need to be transferred on the account. That's good to know. I want to just take a look at a couple things just to see if I can reproduce errors that I was getting before. So like if I go into here, I just want to see if I can see stuff. Okay, I can see the active plots in area 51 this time. I can drill down in here, so that's working. One of the other things, if I go to all list view, and I would see I'm in 51.1, and then if I go to, if I go back out, and I go to region 4, see, it's still not working. So this is a bug. I noted it on Aftersound stream. It's a navigation bug, right? So if I'm looking at Pretoria, I'm looking at all the regions. Like if I select region 1 here and I go view plots in this region, it's showing me plots in area 51. Well, area 51 is not region 1. So basic navigation is still not working. So that needs to get fixed, because you should be able to go into a region and see the plots in a region, right? So I can't see anything here. It's all area 51. So I think I have to go to map view and like select the region from the map view, like go to region 2 and then go to list view, and now it switches. So if you try and just navigate not out of the map view but out of this view, it doesn't update the view. So that's still a bug that needs to get fixed before we go live. Again, it's not anything that's manipulating data or anything. So it's probably not a critical bug, but still basic navigation should work. Plato says the peak monsters thing doesn't work well if you had certain cards you didn't want to add. Okay. Yeah, if you just wanted to autofill to maximize plots, sure. I don't want to autofill. I have a plan and I want to stick to it. Just do it manually. You want to do it manually so you can develop a strategy when it really comes out. That is true, Aaron. I agree with that. Aaron says the first thing to do is to decide what regions you want to transfer your grain from your inventory. It has to be from your inventory based on where your SPS plots are. Yeah, we checked that earlier, and it doesn't seem to be the case, at least on the current build. If I go to my grain as an example, and I went to transfer it, the only option it gives me is from my inventory, my account inventory, right? And it's asking me, do I do it to myself or to a player? If I go to myself, and I hit continue, it doesn't do anything. It says transfer grain and just is a black screen. So it doesn't look like the grain transfer function works. It doesn't do anything. I think I just broke the game. Let's see what happened there. Yeah, so grain transfer here. So you can enter a username there. If you transfer grain to yourself, I don't know why you would do that. It says workers require grain. It doesn't look like it's region specific at the moment. And if I try and transfer it to myself, oh, there we go. Okay. So it looks like there was a bug, but the second time it worked. So select a destination for the grain transfer. So I would want to do San, right? No transportation fee to my inventory, from my inventory to San, grain sent, total received. There's no fee. Looks like going into the region, but from there coming out, there would probably be fees. Here's the question: is inland here? Inland under my production here, right? You can see here I've got DEC staked 500,000 out of only 40,000 required, 6 work sites, 45 SPS an hour. It shows I'm not harvesting any grain, but it doesn't show my grain deficit. Surplus deficit here is minus 1,115. Now, is that per hour? How much more grain you need to claim all resources in this region? So that number should go up over time, right? Because every hour of production, my workers are getting hungrier. So I guess if I want to harvest here, if I harvest without grain, that's going to give me like a 0, right? So I'm curious here what happens if I harvest without any grain transferred to my region. Now I shouldn't, if I had enough grain, I would get 4.5 SPS, right? And it would cost me 1,000 some grain right now to harvest, which would be a terrible deal, because 1,000 grain is like, what, how much is that? Like $1 in DEC cost, basically over $1. And I'd only be getting 4 SPS, so I'd only be getting like 8 cents. So that would be a terrible thing to do. But in either case, if I you can see the grain required here, it looks like 9.6 for that plot, 21, 26. So the grain costs are already adding up. If I don't have any grain here in the region, let's just see what, if I hit harvest, what happens. So I'm going to claim 0 grain. I'm going to claim 0 research. I'm going to claim 0 SPS if I harvest right now, because I don't have the grain. Okay. Did it actually process the harvest? Let's just give me a... So I guess if you have a deficit, you can't even process the harvest, doesn't even activate the buttons. I mean, it should, in theory, it should give you the ability to buy grain off the market if it existed, right? So here's the thing. All right, quick tip and trick, right? You're only going to be able to buy grain off your keeps and castles, right? So if I don't have any grain, like, it should provide a link ideally here to the keep or castle to buy the grain, right? Ideally. I I guess I can go here, add grain. So buying grain here. So if I wanted to buy grain, that's all the DEC that would cost. Okay. You can see my deficit keeps going up. This is the thing, man. People don't realize land is expensive. Like, land is going to cost you money to maintain and run. So you need to have grain. Either producing grain or you're going to have to buy grain, basically. So be aware of that. So let's go ahead and let's fix this problem the correct way. Now that Aaron has called it out and identified it for us. Let's go to grain here. Let's go to transfer. I'm going to transfer, let's just say 1 million to start. Because there's no fee. I'm going to transfer it to myself. I'm going to put it in with my tracked here. So it's going to go from my inventory to the region, 1 million grain, no transportation fee. Let's do it. So Plato, if you're taking notes, you're going to want to stake your DEC, you're going to transfer your grain, you're going to claim your totems, and then you're going to go to work doing your land prep, right? All right, so now I've got my work sites. It doesn't show my grain here. Interesting. Let's take a look here. If I go into here, it shows now I have a surplus of 998,000. I can get 100% for claiming. Again, I wouldn't want to claim now because I'm only going to get 7 SPS. That's going to cost me like 1,000, over 1,000 grain. Let's just see if I click this button. Did it actually harvest? Wow, this is weird. So it shows I have a million grain. Now I would think if I went to a regional harvest, like a harvest all here. I would think if I went to harvest all, I could just hit a button, right? But this screen doesn't look right. Like it's individually, it's showing my tracks or my plots. So is this harvest all not working? I have DEC staked, I have grain staked. So what's the issue? Harvest all. There should be a way for me to harvest this, yeah? I see no button that works here. I'm gonna catch up on chat, see what you guys think. I'm stuck. I have no idea how to harvest. Not like I would want to harvest right now, but I think I meet all the prerequisites, but there's no button for me to harvest here. Don't get too close to Area 51 or you'll have those white pickup trucks following you. Indeed. Aaron transferred 40k grain to region. You're eating through the grain. Jason's asking, does anyone know what the benefit of holding excess grain is? You either want to use it for yourself or, well, you probably want to sell it earlier than later because it probably will go down in price over time. Per Bees and Trees is going to need to see a guy about grain. Yeah. There's a minimum time to harvest, Icy Flow says. Okay. Yeah, I could probably look at that, right? If I drill down here, it says you must wait before you can harvest. So time to claim 46 minutes. So that's the issue. Okay. All right, that makes sense. So you gotta wait an hour before you can harvest something for the first time. All right, well, good to know. So it's a 1 hour minimum and 7-day max. All right. So ideally what I would do if this was day 1 and production was live, I would bring in all my DEC at once. We would bring all of our required grain in for the region at once, claim the totems, and then go to work. Those are the 3 steps basically. Let's see. So I'm going to tease a little bit about the Rebellion card that we're going to be revealing here on stream today. I'm going to start with the element. The element of the card that we're going to reveal today is Earth. So we're going to be unveiling the stats for an Earth Rebellion card on stream. So that's the starting point. That's the starting point. Let's see if there's other things we can see if we can break here. I mean, so far it's working. Like, other than the navigation, right, is the one thing that's broken at this point. Let's go ahead and fill some land and see what's if we can run into any other issues here. Let's go to 15, which is an epic natural. Let's drop down here. Power core. We're gonna do Ulrich Stormbringer, Frozen Soldier, 2 Leers. It's a waste of Leers. And a Genoshaunus. Okay. You can see my production points dropping already down to 8,900. So it's only going to get worse from here, unfortunately. Let's go S Shard Mine, Time Crystals, build. And let's go down to the next one. Was it 63? That's only giving me 1.8 SPS per hour. And this is not even a live environment. This is just a MAV server. So it's going to be obviously much more diluted when real people are hitting this. We're going to do Diamond Dragon. It looks like 3 Jared Scars. And Cornealis. Dragon is saying since land is happening, you've changed from Gold League to Bronze just to stay in the game, so buying Rebellion might not be too painful. People's Guild, what's going on? Welcome to the stream. Appreciate you being able to make it. I saw your Twitter post. So welcome, welcome. Glad you could join us here as we're testing land here. No significant bugs at this point other than a navigation issue with the list view, and there was like a little bit of an issue when transferring grain to between regions, but that was not necessarily repeatable at this point. So I think we're look to be in much better shape than the oh, you know what I deployed? Did I deploy to the wrong thing? I did. Oh, I put it on. See, I read my spreadsheet wrong. Well, that's what happens when you have small print. The first plot I was supposed to do was this legendary 74. I read the text as 76. So mental note for me, make sure you're using you know, fonts that you can read easily and quickly. So this legendary should have been plot number 1, and as such, yeah, this is really not good. So that was a pretty big mistake. 74. What kind of land is this? This is a mountain. Legendary mountain? Interesting. So the stuff it's asked me to put here, I don't even have the cards I'm looking for. I'm looking for a Flame Imp, Cerberus, and Lyra the Dark. So here's Lyra the Dark. I don't see Cerberus. Or the Flame Imp. I wonder if they're even on my account. Did I not transfer them here? Let's take a look. We might have found an issue with my, let's say owned. Do we see Cerberus or a Flame Imp here? Look at this. It's not even on my account. Interesting. So I wonder which account it's on. Let me take a look. Let me take a look-see here. Let's see if we can find those missing cards. Let's see. So maybe we allocated to the wrong account. This is where testing your plan is important, because if you think your cards are in the right spot and they're not, if they're delegated or they're rented, you can't put them on land. So let's see if I can track down those cards. All right, well, I found them. They're on the wrong account, it looks like. So let's see if I can send them over. All right, so this is good to know that cards that allocated are not allocated correctly. Good to know. I guess practice makes perfect, right? All right, let's try this again. Let's go back into land. So we track down the missing cards. Let's go and see here. 74. Let's try this again. Gonna add a power core, Flame Imp, Cerberus, Lyra, Waka, and Lava Launcher. Okay. All right. So finding lots of errors in my plan. If this was production, I'd be pissed because I would have put one of my most valuable lands with the wrong cards to start, which would suck because it'd take, 24 hours to reset that mistake. So yeah, good to know. I also had missing cards on the account, which I don't want to deal with transferring the day of. So finding all kinds of mistakes. Yeah, it's a legendary natural mountain. Rubies and trees. Yep. So what else can I unveil or reveal about the Rebellion card for today? The Rebellion card is not only from the Earth element, but it is also playable in the Little League rule set. So that means the card is 4 mana or less Earth that we're going to be talking about today. So a little bit of a tease there. Let's see, the next one we're going to take a look at looks to be 14, which is a magical rare. We're gonna... Now remember, if you don't have building in a box, you won't have power cores, and the power cores are 5,000 DEC to buy as well. So keep that in mind as you're looking at your DEC burns for land. Let's see, we're gonna put Genoshanis, 1, 2 Genoshanises. We're gonna put a Quadus down and 2 Tidebiters. All right. It's interesting that I wonder where the gold foil Pellicore Bandit's gonna be used at. Interesting. So the reason I'm looking at this is I'm looking at when I'm deploying stuff, like I had Jared Scars left over, this Pellicore Bandit. I should be using the biggest production points to start. So I'm looking at my strategy, and it looks like I had the Pellicore Bandits on a different tract. This is a magical rare. I guess the other one is... I'm just trying to understand why I'm not putting the gold foil on this plot. I guess it should be okay. Magical rare. I just want to take a look at the alternate plot is 621. So let's take a look at that. Let's see what 621 is. If it's just a rare plot, then it wouldn't make a difference. Build that. Let's take a look at 621 and see if we can figure out why we didn't put the gold foil Pellicore Bandits there. 21 is a rare natural. So I guess from a production point standpoint, I could put it on 21. Wouldn't make a difference until I switched it over. So I should probably make a note to move this to 14. So I'll move that to 14 and probably put the Tidebiter, replace that with a Tidebiter there. The other one I'm curious about is there was another plot where I had an option to drop a Jared Scar down, but I didn't. And that was plot 63. Let's take a look here. Plot 63 is a natural epic. And if you look here, we placed 3 Jared Scars in Cornealis. Instead of placing Cornealis, we could have put another Jared Scar. Which would have been, you can see here, the production points on Jared Scar is 1650. Cornealis is 1636. So it's only a difference of 14 production points. I'm just wondering why I didn't put the other Jared Scar there. Let's take a look and see where that other Jared Scar is planned for, to see if I can better optimize this. Looks like that Jared Scar might be extra. Let's take a look here. I'm gonna find another Let's see, this is a hills. Let's see if we can find another hills. I don't know if I can find a hill naturally here from this view. See, this view doesn't show me what type of land it is. So let's see if I can find hills by looking at it this way. Can I find some hills? Hills, hills, hills. Here we go. So here's some hills. Let's go ahead and manage. So just out of curiosity, yeah, see, my first option is Jared Scar. And I have one of him left, Max Jared Scar. So the question is why am I not allocating him to that epic hill? And if I actually have an extra Jared Scar that I was unaware of, it's like kind of finding like a $100 bill in your couch cushion. Give me a second. I'm gonna do a quick scan of my spreadsheet and see if I can figure out if I just have an extra Jared Scar that I wasn't planning on using. Yes, Bird, Bees, and Trees. The Rebellion card we're going to be releasing alpha on today is an Earth card, and it is 4 mana or less. And I'll give you another hint. It does magic damage. Oh, Bejangles has an Earth card to reveal too. Nice. So Bejangles is Earth card is a 2 mana common. Nice. Well, the next things I'm going to reveal is the mana cost and the rarity level. So we'll slowly get to that reveal. Ooh, looks like Bejangles might be... I don't think there's 2 mana summoners, but it's probably a non-summoner card. Aaron wants to see signs around the plots that they're active and tag your cards. Oh, Bejangles sharing some alpha with me on Discord. Thank you, sir. Sounds like this card is going to nerf Obsidian. Sell all your Obsidians. Well, I mean, there's going to be a 3 mana common Earth dual Splinter summoner, right? Will it nerf Obsidian? I mean, probably. If they keep the dual cost summoners at 3 mana, as long as the both splinters are available. Sorry, I was checking my spreadsheet here. 1 second. Let me get to doing that and coming back here. Let's see if I can find Jared Scar. So we got one. So there should be a Jared Scar in my castle, which I did deploy. And there's 1, 2, 3. Wow, I just did a search for Jared Scars. I'm only using 4 in my land spreadsheet right now. Let's take a look at my account. Did I magically like buy an extra Jared Scar and not inventory it? That would be a nice surprise. Let's take a look. Let's come back here. Let's see. I might have just found an extra Jared Scar. I don't know. Let's see. I have one delegated. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So no, there should be 3 on. There should be 1 on my castle. Or not my castle, my keep. Let's see what got deployed to my keep. Let's see if we can figure out what happened here. So I don't have an extra Jared Scar. Where's my keep? Did my keep not get deployed? Look at this. My tax rate is set. My cards are set. But look. There's my Jared Scar. There's 1 Jared Scar there, right? It's not showing. It's not showing any cards on my keep. And if I go to the hill, which I think was 63, right? I've got 1, 2, 3 Jared Scars here, right? 1, 2, 3, ending in JK, J4, 5C. 3 of those are deployed. So remember these 5C, J4, JK. All right. JK, 5C, J4. All 3 of those are on the hill. This 2-8, it says it's available. Like I could sell it, transfer it, use it in battle, but it's supposed to be on my keep. Did we just find an error? Did we just find a bug? So if I go to production and I go, see my keep is not showing as deployed. 59. Here's my keep. It says my tax rate is set. Production points per hour is 34,000. It's got a boost from a totem, a title, and a Rooney. But here's the thing, if I manage this, the workers, Jared Scar here is Y8. Oh, it's gold foil Jared Scar. Look at that. I guess I didn't know I had a gold foil Jared Scar. All right. So I do have an extra Jared Scar. I do have an extra Jared Scar that I have not deployed on my land spreadsheet. Because if I go to gold foils, what I deployed in my castle, why is it not showing the gold foil? Interesting. So here, I have a gold foil Jared Scar. You can see it here. It's on my account. It's on land. I have an extra Jared Scar there. For whatever reason, it's not showing up on the highlight gold foil legendaries, life, Chaos Legion. It's not displaying it in my inventory for some reason. Let me refresh. That's weird. So there it is. So it's just not playable. I guess because it was on land. Okay. So let me check my real account and see if I have the same thing. So this is my real account. Let's go to Chaos Legion, regular gold foil, legendary, life, owned, not owned, soulbound. All right, so I do have a Jared Scar gold foil, and I do have 4 regular foils. All right, so I just have to allocate a free Jared Scar. All right. All right, finding all kinds of good stuff out today. Let's catch up here on chat. Am I more excited for the Death plus Water or Death plus Fire summoner? Did they unveil Death plus Fire as a dual summoner? Bjangles? I didn't see that yet. If so, would I be more excited for Death plus Water or Death plus Fire? I would be more excited for Death plus Water because Water has a lot of repair and cleanse and healing, and Death doesn't have any of those things. So I would be probably more excited for Death in Water. Bird, Bees, and Trees is asking, is land a good investment right now? If so, what's a good buy? I'm only looking for Jared Scars because I was trying to look at my spreadsheet. I wasn't buying any Jared Scars necessarily. But Jared Scars is a great card. Probably not for land though. I'd probably want him for the card itself. And I don't know if land is a good investment right now. That's a financial advice question which I am not fit to address. Dragon used to love fire back in the Untamed Beta days, but now you love earth, death, and water. Bird, Bees, and Trees is going to go rare. No epic, no rare for the magic one. Okay, we'll see. We'll see. Seems like the only thing scarier than Jared Scar's on-field maneuvers is his sudden disappearing Actinite. No, it's just my inability to use the GUI correctly. Supreme Victory. That's my fault. What's up, Bolts? Welcome to the stream. P-Jangle says he sent me that gold foil Jared Scar by accident. Yeah. Well, hey, you know, finding a gold foil Jared Scar by accident that's a good day. I'll take that. Yeah, Jared Scar level 2 has auto hit, yes. Oh, Dahota had the Death plus Fire summoner on Twitter. Awesome. That's cool. Level 2 gold foil Jared Scar is almost $50. Nice. We'll take it. We'll take it. All right. So I'm going to reveal the next hint for the Rebellion card. The next hint is it is a rare Earth element. And I'll just unveil it is a 3 mana and it does magic damage. So you're already getting a preview of what this card is. Now the question is, I mean, does it have armor? What's its health? What's its speed? And most importantly, what are its abilities? We'll find out very soon. Very soon, I promise. All right, let's go back to land here. Let's see if I can find any more cards that I didn't know about. All right, that's production. So we don't want to use production. We want to use the working land. All right, so where else were we? I think we're on... We had gone up to plot 14, yeah? So the next plot we're going to look at is 33. 33 here is a rare magical. And we're going to drop on here, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Jinchwalas. One second here. We not only are we getting a Rebellion reveal today, we're getting a special guest. And we're gonna dial in our special guest here in just a couple minutes. So you guys are getting all the treats tonight. All kinds of good stuff. It's like Black Friday shopping come early. Let's see, so we're looking for gin chihuahuas here. We're gonna drop down 1, 2, 3, like a whole bunch of them here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. As you can see here, my production points are already dropping down to 6,875. So it's already starting to get a little thin. All right, I'll drop that down with time crystals. And we'll do one more plot before bringing on our special guest for tonight. Let's go to plot 58. What's 58? It's another rare magical. And we're gonna do the same boring thing here. We're gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gin chihuahuas. So I want to talk a little bit about gin chihuahuas here, or epics in general. Let's go ahead and get this started. And you know, one of the things that we were doing a couple months ago is if you look at epics, and you can see here gin chihuahua is the lowest bid is 0.11 cents, right, for gin chihuahuas. I was buying epics. You can see here some of my bids here. I was buying epics for under 0.08 cents. Remember, the burn value for epics is 0.1, I believe, ish. 0.1 would be the DC at peg. So I was getting epic reward cards for over 20% under burn value, and I was scooping those up. It cost me more DEC to use those cards on land, but I couldn't pass it up. And those cards have gone from, you know, 0.08 or less. I was getting some for like 0.078, 0.079. They're at 0.11, so that's already, I mean, percentage wise, it's almost like a, I guess what, almost a probably higher than 15% increase in price just in the cards themselves. So it's not terrible, not terrible. Maybe they go up more, we'll see. Give me a second here. I'm gonna bring on our special guest here for tonight. And let's do that. One minute here. Let's gonna have to adjust some audio here. Let's see if we can make it happen. Let's see. We're starting to dial our mystery guest. Let's see if they pick up the phone. Is it Oprah? The audience wants to know, is this Oprah?
Yes, how are you? Can I give you a car?
Well, I already found a Jared Scar card, so I'll take a car while I'm at it. Today could be my lucky day.
It's always your lucky day when you get to talk to Walking Keys.
I know, I know. Welcome, Walking Keys, our special live stream guest tonight. Welcome, welcome. How are you doing, sir?
Man, I'm fantastic. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Let me switch the display here and let me catch up here on chat. And we were testing land here, Walking Keys, and it's going pretty well. The only errors we've had for the most part are user errors, which I like to call pebcac errors. You know what a pebcac error is?
Do
Walking
not
Keys?
fill me in.
Oh my gosh. How do you not know this? This is like the ultimate like 90s computer error, right? Other than those ID10T errors, but a pebcac error is when the problem exists between the chair and the keyboard. And that's what we were experiencing earlier on the stream.
Learn something new every day.
Yep, indeed, indeed.
Yeah, I was too busy caught up in was it Scrappy Funge today, which is the scrambling to clean your house before guests arrive.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, it's Scurry Funge. Scurry Funge, excuse me. It's an actual word. It's called Scurry Funge.
Really?
Yeah. Learn something new every day.
We definitely do. I'm gonna fix your volume there. Yeah, I had never heard of that word before.
Yeah.
This is why you would be good at Trivia Pursuit, unlike Gank.
I excuse me, I do very well at Trivia Pursuit.
Nice, nice. Well, let's see. Let's catch up here on chat, and then we'll see. Let's see. Bird Bees and Trees is thinking that we might have an ambush plus protect reveal tonight. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Let's see.
I do have a little alpha.
Yeah, let's drop it.
I got a card that we're going to be dropping a video on. We just got a card in the Rebellion set that Nate sent over. So we're going to make a video and drop that tomorrow. And it's one that hasn't been revealed yet.
Nice.
So pretty excited. Man, I tell you, I'm getting excited about Rebellion.
Yeah,
and I haven't been excited about a whole lot lately, and not just Splinterlands, but in the NFT space in general. But I'm really digging this, man. I'm excited about Rebellion.
Yeah, I mean, anytime we get to play with new cards and new abilities, I mean, there should be lots of meta-changing gameplay, you know, and experimenting happening here. So should be fun. I mean, again, I'm going to be partaking from the sidelines at the moment because I still don't own any Rebellion packs at this point. But, you know, that might change over time. I'm sure it will change over time. I'll be honest, I've got some bids out on Hive Engine. I don't know if they'll ever hit, but if they do, well, then I'll have some Rebellion cards.
Well, it's been sliding down a little bit. It's almost below 3 again. That's my entry point. Yeah,
I mean, the thing to look at though is the reason why it's dropped below 3 is because the EC's dropped as well. So if we can check Hive Engine, and Hive Engine's been down pretty much most of today. Every time I've tried to go here, it's not been working. But it's back up.
Yeah, me too.
So we're at 93 Splintoshis. It was down to like 91 earlier when I looked at it. So that's definitely impacting Rebellion prices a little bit when DEC goes down because that discount becomes higher. Let's see, Rebellion at 2.9.
Yeah, but only by a couple cents.
Yeah, I mean, percentage-wise, it's meaningful. But what also is meaningful is this. So if you look at Hive, which is the baseline here for the purchases on Hive Engine, this was yesterday at before the Binance news was at 36 cents. It dropped earlier this morning to 33 cents. It's recovered now to about 34.6 cents. But a drop of Hive from like 36 cents to 33% or 33 cents is almost a 10% drop in Hive value. So if you had funds that you were looking to buy Rebellion packs sitting in Hive, and let's say Rebellion packs were selling for $3.10, well, if your Hive lost 10% of value, in theory, for you to buy the same amount of Rebellion packs, the price of rebellion packs would have to go down 10%, which 10% of $3.10 is 31 cents. So in theory, those same rebellion packs would have to sell for about $2.80 for you to get the same value if you held it in Hive. So be aware of that.
Good tip. I don't hold anything in Hive right now.
Gotcha.
But I deal in such small numbers anyway. But yeah, that's a good point there. So you were talking about land and doing land. Are you getting excited about it? Think it's going to work well?
Yeah, I mean, I am. I think, the thing is with land is once you deploy on land, I mean, for me, I'll deploy. It'll take some time, day one. Once I'm deployed, I mean, if I'm only going to harvest like every couple days maybe or every week, the gameplay value of land is going to be like less than Golem Overlord, right? It's going to be a one click every once in a while, collect your whatever, your grain, your SPS, your research tokens. Of those things, you really can't do anything with grain right now. Can't really do anything with research tokens, and the SPS you're going to get is staked SPS. So you can't do anything with that either, other than unstake it and sell it 7 days later or whatever, a portion of it. So the gameplay value for Land 1.5, and Aftersound is hinted on this as well, is probably going to be lackluster, quite honestly. Even the biggest landholders, I mean, what are you going to do once you deploy your land? Well, there's no incentive for you once you deploy your land to start changing stuff around and moving cards or, doing things. You can't upgrade buildings or do anything like that. So you're basically going to put your cards on your land and you're going to let them sit there and not really change them, because otherwise it's going to cost you time crystals or a day of downtime. Plus, you freeze and lock the cards at that point too, underneath the land pieces. So
yeah,
gameplay wise, it's not going to add necessarily a lot of gameplay elements, but it's going to add economical benefits. You're going to see DEC demand spike initially. You're going to see, as more land comes online, you're going to see incrementally more DEC staked and taken off the market. It could, cause some flywheel effects here in a couple days, which will be interesting to see. You're going to see a lot of cards come not only off the rental market if they already haven't come off the rental market, but you're going to, see cards being played in Wild and Modern. People are going to drop down in ranks as they move cards.
Yeah, it's going to get less competitive.
Yeah. I mean, cards are going to come out of people's deck. People have already seen me take Lord of Darkness and Corrupted Pegasus and put it on land as an example. If I was using that in the Wild League for my deck's going to get weaker because they're not going to have those cards to use. Not only that, but a week later, Rebellion's going to come out, and then all the Untamed and Dice are going to shift out of Modern. So that's going to change the whole Modern power balance, because not only do a lot of players lose the benefit of Untamed and Dice cards that they've either bought or rented or whatever, if they still play in Modern, they're not going to have those cards. And if they didn't buy Rebellion packs, all they're going to have is Chaos Legion and Soulbound cards. Yeah. If you were playing in Champion with Untamed and Dice summoners like Mylor or Mimosa or Yodin or Kitty or one of those type of things, right? All of a sudden you're left playing with Tarsa and Obsidian, and people are dropping dual element summoners on you. You may not be playing in Champion anymore. So
no, I can't see a world where the gameplay for Splinterlands, ranked battles especially, that most people that are engaging with land, their decks don't take a hit in some way. So even Gank, for example, he's taking cards off the table so he can put them on land. So he may not even be like playing much at all.
Yeah. I mean, there are certain people, like I think Level Up Life is just focused on land. I think solely he's going to probably put a lot of his collection on land. And I don't know how much he plays ranked battles as an example today, or maybe he bought some of it today, but in the future probably won't play at all. And I think there'll be more than one of those that really just focuses on land instead of playing.
Yeah, I think you're right. Now the other thing too is, I think part of the playing of land is actually looking at your plots and figuring out where you can improve. And so, playing the markets, putting in bids, really working and trying to improve land, like one plot at a time, and leveling up someone a little bit. Because you're right, it won't be a lot. You don't want to. There are penalties for switching out cards, but if it's a big enough jump, it'll be totally worth it.
Mm-hmm.
So I know, for me at least, initially, I'm not going to have that much TC to put on my land. So some of these plots are going to get, one BCX guys on them just to get them rolling. But then at some point when I get more DC, then I'll put more on it and rotate cards out. But I think you're right, though. It's not going to be a huge fun factor. It's not going to be something where like, oh, this is amazingly fun. It's just another cool way to use our stuff. And eventually, hopefully, it will evolve into more of a game. But it's really just a system set up to use all these assets. It's pretty freaking genius.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to see, certainly to your point of people upgrading their land and trying to put better cards over time with land as they get more funds or anything like that. I think that's going to put some continuous buying pressure on cards that have production value, right? So let's say land only comes live with, let's just say 30% to start. Well, if a majority of land still needs to have cards on it, and cards are already at this kind of baseline price, they really should probably only go up in value, assuming that there's not a huge supply to burn through, right? I mean, we still have a lot of Chaos Legion packs sitting on the sidelines. My feeling is, personally, is that as the card market gets, let's say, pillaged from all the people wanting to put cards on land over time, assuming people want to put cards on land, let's say land is successful and there's value in 1.5 and people want to do that, assuming that's the case, I think you might see people that hold these Chaos Legion packs start opening them for gold foil, epics, and legendary pulls and stuff like that to put on land, because it'd be cost effective to buy some of these Chaos Legion packs at some point as the next cheapest source for land cards.
Yeah, I think right now, that's a great point. That I know Gank just bought a whole bunch of Chaos Legion packs. I've been buying packs. I literally just opened up 10 about 20 minutes ago. Mm-hmm. And in that 10, I got one Immortalis, which is selling for like $11.50. So that one card paid for that whole pack, or that whole series of cards or pack to open. Nice. Like $6.90. How much I paid for those. I mean, I can't see a world where these Chaos Legion cards don't go up at this point. But I would caution thinking that they will only go up, because if this isn't the bull market yet, we're still in a bear and we just have seen a nice little pump and we've seen a little bit of movement. It won't be really until a next wave of new players hits the game and starts needing some cards that I think we'll see, long-term sustained growth in cards. Which I think most people are kind of set with their land, what they need right now, but they will need more, like, over time. Mm-hmm. Once it gets going, if it's good.
Yeah, it's really going to be dependent on two things. One is how successful land 1.5 is seen by the player base. If people see it as too expensive to buy grain and buy cards and stake DEC compared to the benefits of land, then we wouldn't get an uplift. But with 1.5 at least. But if 1.6 or 2.0, hype pushes people to say, hey, because remember, Matt has said that he's going to drop the 2.0 white paper in November. And if land launches on the 28th, well, there's only 2 days after that land launch potentially for that white paper to come out. So if the Land 2.0 white paper is, let's just call it very sexy, in that it's really showing a very attractive path for land ownership to provide value with, you know, items and spells, or keeps and castles, or LPs, or different types of things to farm and make, buildings to build, etc. You know, that could be a catalyst that drives that card market, perhaps. I mean, we'll have to see. Again, it's all a balance of supply and demand. If things are architected correctly and the team can deliver on that vision and at least get Land 1.5 out and show progress, you know, we could really be in a nice spot where everything lines up. Maybe a bull market, you know, comes through at the same time as Land and Rebellion and Land 2.0 and the Flywheel and GLG, and it could be, you know, a very festive, you know, closing of Q4 potentially in this ecosystem.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. If land is received well, then it will kick off. Regardless of what the broader crypto market's doing, it'll kick off a little run, because, like you said, we have 2.0 white paper potentially. We have Rebellion, and I think the team is doing a good job of actually bringing together some. I know they're bringing some streamers together and doing a big live show the day of launch. I think that's cool, and I think they have a different mindset. And even was talking about doing some type of burn event in January where you burn cards for cards, something like that. So I don't know, man. I think they have things lined up. We've seen this in the past. You know, we've seen, you know, Rift Watchers and Tower Defense and GLG all lined up at once, and we've seen, like in June, we thought we had another lineup coming, but things change. And I think at this point, if they could just start delivering on these promises that they have, like the 28th for land, white paper, you know, white paper might come out that Monday, and then land Tuesday, which would be sick. And then we're Rebellion, which I have full confidence they can deliver that. And then all of a sudden, I think the whole tide will turn, especially if Rebellion's received well. So things could really shift pretty quick.
Yeah, and I think,
I don't know. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was like, I don't know how much they'll translate in value, but if overall sentiment starts going up, I think what will happen is you'll start seeing a lot of people that are on the fringe of Splinterlands, you know, check in on game. They have assets, but they just maybe have a bot running, or they just don't play, or have land, they just haven't checked it out. If people start coming back to play, that would be huge. That'd be a big first step.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're in position to do well.
Yeah, and I think one of the X factors that no one's really talking about yet is the impact of Land 2.0 on DEC. And what do I mean by that is, right now, everyone's pretty much saying they probably don't necessarily have as much DEC as they would want for land necessarily. I mean, some people have what they need. There's still a lot of folks that don't have enough DEC compared to the land that they owned. But here's the thing, that's today with Land 1.5. What happens in the future with Land 2.0 is, remember, everything you produce, the market is going to have LPs, or liquidity pools, and the pairing of the asset, like, you know, whatever it is, you know, I don't know, iron or steel or whatever that you refine on your plots and your buildings, is going to need to be paired with DEC and the LPs to be able to earn APR or rewards or be able to sell it, right?
Yeah.
So remember, as you're producing on your land, let's say you produce, every week, $50 worth of steel. Well, you're either going to have to pair that up with $50 of DEC, which you probably don't have right now, or you're going to have to find a way to sell into the LP already to get the DEC you need to pull out to get half of the DEC. So it's going to put a tremendous amount of demand on DEC moving forward just to be able to transact with land resources and to be able to earn with land resources. So that continued need for DEC for land will continue to fuel the flywheel, right? If it's going, it'll just continue to add to that demand and necessity for people to get DEC. And again, if all the DEC is staked in LPs and staked on land, the only way you can get it is from SPS, right? And that's right. The beauty of the system. It's also kind of the scary part of the system, which I know we've talked about as well, in that at some point, what if there's too much DEC minted? But at least for the near term, right? The near term is such where there can be really a huge catalyst for DEC to stay at stable pricing, for SPS to really shoot up honestly, kind of shatter previous all-time highs, even with the dilution that's happened over the last 2 years. So,
I think that's possible. I think that's much further down the road, in my opinion. But just put it in perspective, I am no expert. Mm-hmm. I think it would take a pretty fair amount of new people hitting the system, and not just like thousands and thousands of new players and all of them spending on, an average of like $50-$60. I think that needs to happen, because it's going to take a lot for us to burn that much land, even in 2.0. That is still pretty far away.
If you look at the depth in Hive Engine and look at the liquidity pools there and how much they hold, it really doesn't take much to move our market. We are a micro cap from when it comes to crypto. And here's the beauty of this is if we get some big green candles and we go from, let's say, 1.8 cents to 4 cents pretty quickly, there's a lot of eyes that are going to be all of a sudden coming over to Splinterlands. And then if those eyes dip their toes in the waters, right, and put some demand in here, we can really quickly go from 4 cents to 6 cents. And then it starts to get crazy, because the market depth that we're talking about here to move some of these prices, we're not talking about millions of dollars. We're not even talking about, in some cases, hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? Even tens of thousands of dollars can be significant movements in the current market. Like if you went on to, I'll give you an example. Let's go to Hive End. Let's go to Tribal Dex, right? Let's just say, let me see if I can see if it works right now. Is it going to work? Is it going to let me show you this example? I don't even think it's up. Might be broken. Well, if I could show you this, you could go into the Tribal Dex, and if you wanted to, let me see if I can refresh this here. I don't really know what's going on with Hive Engine and Tribal Dex, which is another story, but let's see. Okay, so I got it back. Let's go to pools. Let me log in. Well, I thought it was back. Guess it's not. It looks like it's down. But, an exercise which you can do, which is interesting, is if you were to go to Tribal Dex and just put in, try and place an order to buy at market off the LPs, $50,000 worth of SPS. Let's say you want to buy $50,000 worth of SPS because you wanted to buy DEC, right? At current SPS prices, let's say 0.018, that's like 2.78 million SPS. Try and buy 2.78 million SPS on TribalDex and see what slippage or
you're going to have a hard time.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to shoot the price of SPS with $50,000 to basically clear out the order book. It's going to be like 50 cents or something stupid. So yeah, so you'd be surprised. I mean, look at what Axie. Remember Axie back in the day? I mean, how many eyes came onto Axie because you could make, I don't know, $30 a day or whatever playing Axie.
Yeah, but it was very simple. I mean, I agree, but it is different being on Hive. I do think there's a big difference. And now Ethereum, a lot of people took NFT money and dropped it into Axie, and and Ethereum is it's, besides Bitcoin, it's the one. Especially if you're in NFTs at all, that's the one. But I think that it's a challenge. It's a whole new blockchain. It's a little different. It is super decentralized, so people get nervous about that. But I do think that its time can come, and you're right. It could clear out things, but it only takes one big buyer to come in before all the bots set up, and so there's going to be a lot more. There's a lot of stuff sitting on the sidelines, but I mean, you're right. It's not going to take much.
Well, let me give you another example to put things into perspective. And I know, people out there sometimes will say that I'm bearish or, not a proponent of Splinterlands. Well, that's very far from the truth. I mean, I obviously
I agree.
I mean, I create content here and I understand the ecosystem for a reason. It's because I believe that this can be, potentially a life-changing project, right? But here's the thing I want to share with you. If I don't want to go to the Mavs, I want to go to Peak Monsters. And I want to buy some land, right? Do you remember in like 2022, even after 2021, like in 2022, people were buying tracts of land for over $20,000, right? You remember that? It wasn't too long ago. Like $20,000, people were buying tracts of land. That was probably like, I don't know, spring of 2022-ish, maybe even summer 2022.
Right.
So a little over a year ago, right? $20,000 tracts of land. $20,000 tracts of land, is basically $200 plots, right? This was before land could be surveyed and all that jazz, and we had to wait a while since then. $20,000. If you look at land here on Peak Monsters, if one person had an appetite to buy $20,000 worth of land to speculate on it, right? How much land could they clear off the market? That's the interesting thing. If you look at this land, you see a lot of land here, $20, $30, whatever, right? I don't know if it'll let me count or export this if I want to buy all this stuff. I can add it to my cart. I obviously won't be able to buy it. Let me just try and add how much this would be. Like if we just drill down and see, like if I'm a whale, I got $20,000 that I want to buy land. And again, that's not unheard of. Like not even whales, like just, people coming to Splinterlands are looking at tracts of land at $20,000 and saying, yeah, maybe I'll look at that, right? Not even whales. Let's just see how much would one buy take off the market? Just one buyer of 20,000. The point with this exercise, I just want to show you that it would not take very many speculative purchases to clear out land in its current state.
That is true. But it's also, land is like a layer 2 of Splinterlands, where like you're not going to stumble in on land and buy a plot of land and then go buy cards. I mean, that's very rare if that happens. Most people are going to come in, buy, figure out the game, play the game a little bit, and then get into it that way, and then like work up to a piece of land. That'll be most players.
Well, here's the
but
thing.
There will be some big ones that might come in and do that because they hear, hey, the returns are really good on land and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, Steve, like Ethereum is like if crypto hits a bull run, Ethereum is interesting because I mean, you just heard from Steve. If you listen to Steve's stream on, I think it was Monday with Baby Omega, he sold a Townstar Gala NFT in the bear market, and he sold it for 2.5 ETH, I think, or something like that, which is like, $5,000, one NFT,
yeah,
right? Which is, in a bear market, solid. Right? So it's not unheard of for someone on Ethereum to like, have $20,000 all of a sudden just sitting in their wallet and be like, hey, what do I do with this? If they came over to Splinterlands again, I'm just tagging all this stuff. I don't even know what my total is right now, but I guarantee it's not $20,000 yet. I mean, they really could move the land in the card markets very quickly. And it wouldn't take very many of these, Ethereum speculators to really create a chaos in our ecosystem. And I mean chaos in a good way, in that if speculation hits, the depth of our market is shallow enough and the prices are inexpensive enough that things could get very, very spicy very, very quickly.
They could, but it could also wreck the system. Like if there's too much speculation. The other thing about being on Ethereum, though, and speculating on something there is you can sell it and get Ethereum back. Here, it's like you got to learn Splinterlands, then you got to learn Tribal or Hive Engine, and then you got to learn land. I mean, there's a whole layer of learning that has to happen before you can even feel comfortable in moving these assets around. Most people just buy and sell on Splinterlands if they're new. It takes a little while, and there's no real bridge to Hive Engine to teach you how to use Hive Engine from Splinterlands. You got to go to streamers or search it. So it's not the easiest thing for speculators to get into, and I think that's one challenge that we have. But that's why I've done that on Ethereum. I've speculated on things because I've had extra Ethereum. It's different on Hive Engine. There's just there's a much bigger learning curve, and it's all new. And you got to get keychain and all that. And there's a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not easy for speculators. So I wouldn't count on speculators coming in. I would hope the goal is to attract a player that likes the game, that gets cards, and then aspires to land, gets land, and just kind of levels up, their whale status. Or get someone that really loves the game, and then they decide to go hard in the land, something like that, and then they spend 20 grand.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're going to spend 20 grand, you would probably buy Legion or Attract or something like that. You wouldn't buy just all the random common plots too. But
Jason's telling me I can do Control Shift. Yeah, I probably could. So here's the thing. We saw land plots in the market start at $30. If I wanted to double the price of land instantly, go from $30 to $60 from the floor perspective, it would basically be 408 plots, it looks like, to do that. And that would be $17,889. So in the past, someone would come into Splinterlands and be willing to pay $20,000 for a tract, which was 100 plots of land, for $20,000, like about a year ago. Well, they can come in for less money today and buy basically more than 4 tracts worth of land. Instead of 100 plots, which some legendaries, epics, whatever, they can buy basically 100 or 4 times as many common plots and get it for cheaper. And not only by doing so, they could bump the price, double the price, the floor price of plots in doing so. And remember, a keep in 1.5 which is mythic, which is the highest level of land that you can get, is only really equivalent to 5 common plots in land 1.5. So you can make an argument for a speculator to come in here, drop 20 grand on land and maybe, some on cards, obviously, in DEC. So maybe they're all in for $40,000, right? And all of a sudden they've got 4 tracks, 100% passively farming land.
I mean, it's possible if the rewards are high enough.
Yeah, possibly.
But I think if the rewards are high enough too, I think people are going to start pulling things off the market.
Well, what if SPS jumped to 20 cents in a bull market craze, and land was printing the same amount? It might make sense to rush in and buy 4 tracts of land and farm SPS. Because you might ROI.
I mean, it might. Yeah. I mean, it could for sure. I think if we see some movement on SPS, everything will go up. But it's gonna. I mean, it's just going to take a lot to get it there right now. But I think we're on the path. I think we're finally really on the path and moving forward. If the land launch goes well and everything works, that's the biggest thing. If it all works and works well, then it will eat up card supply, it will eat up DEC supply, and then we jump right into Rebellion. And if that's a good launch, it's fun. The airdrops are cool, how they have the new system set up. We won't see a big, dumping of packs on the market like we have with Chaos and stuff. So I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. I'm pretty excited about it all, and I have been a little bearish myself lately. So I'm excited to see what happens here, be a part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, we're going to find out pretty quickly, what's possible.
Yeah.
I think the reason why a lot of us are here is because we believe in the vision and what could happen. It hasn't happened yet, at least recently. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Again, I think a lot of us are being realistic, with what has happened over the last 2 years. But I think, moving forward here, it could be a pretty interesting momentum shift. Let's see. That being said, we have teased a little bit of this particular card for Rebellion, and I don't want to keep the audience in suspense for too much longer. So you want to see some Rebellion Alpha here, Walking Keys?
Yes. Did I stumble into some Alpha?
You did. See,
oh my gosh,
I know you're going to unveil yours in your video. We figured we'd do it here on a live stream and reward those who are joining us here before the holidays with some Alpha. And it's a pretty interesting card. We've already teased that it is an Earth element. It is 3 mana. It does magic damage. And I think that's all we've confirmed at this point. I'm going to reveal the full card for you. I'm going to talk about what it could mean in the Modern League and what it could be used for. So here we go. Let's take a look at this card in its current stat form. It is the Blackmoor Nymph. It is a rare 3 mana Earth card. You can see here it goes really well with Obsidian, for 3 mana. 2 magic damage, I guess, is probably similar to the Princess as far as what she peaks out at. But with that 3 mana, you're getting 2 magic damage base with 3 speed, and it's got 7 health. So from a pure stat line perspective, we don't even look at the abilities at max level. A 3 mana, 2 magic damage, 7 health card is very strong. Remember, the Hill Giant is 3 mana as well. Has, I think, 2 melee damage and around the same amount of health. So to get with Obsidian for that same mana cost, a magic damage card, that's very strong stat-wise. Good value.
Dude, that's awesome.
Now, where this card is a specialist card, and what's interesting about this card is its abilities at max level are immunity and snare. And you might think, well, that doesn't make a lot of sense, right? They're not very synergistic, right? This is not like a frontline tank. It doesn't have flights. Where would this card be useful? Well, I can tell you right away where I would use this card, especially for the mana cost here. I get all the time the rule sets Noxious Fumes and Earthquake. I don't know why I get that rule set a lot, but I seem to get it more frequently than I should, at least statistically speaking. And that rule set is brutal because when you're searching for cards, you're looking for cards with immunity, with flight, with protect, with something like scavenge, with self-heal. These are the monsters that you're looking for that particular rule set when you come across it. Now, this card is interesting because not only does it have immunity, so it's immune to poison, right? But you're saying, Tails, well, that doesn't make any sense because if you have an immunity earthquake rule set, you're just going to take, earthquake damage, which is true if for 3 mana you didn't have 7 health. 7 health means you can withstand without triage or strengthen or anything like that on your team or protect. You can withstand 4 earthquake rounds before this card dies, right? Because it's not going to take any poison damage. And all the while, it's snaring anything on the other side that might have flight. So because it has such a large health pool for the mana cost, you can see it really becoming valuable in that particular rule set combination, or one or the other, Earthquake by itself or Noxious Fumes by itself. What do you think, Walking Keys?
Oh, man, I'm just trying to process your analysis because I think you're absolutely right. Good points there. I mean, for 3 mana, how could you say no to this? And even with like Obsidian, you get an extra little boost there to Magic. I mean, this is, I feel like, a pretty strong card.
Yeah, and remember, even with Obsidian against Immortalis, right? Obsidian's going to boost it to 3 magic damage. Immortalis is going to void that to bring it down to basically 1 damage. Remember, in the modern format, once Untamed and Dice go away, Earth only has 1 silence currently without Rebellion in play, right? And that's the Goblin and Psychic, because you lose Sorcerer, you lose the Elven Mystic, and you're going to lose, what is it, the other one? The other beta card? Mushroom Seer? Is that the other silence? I forget.
I won't be able to answer you because I'm horrible at remembering the cards. I'm sorry.
But in either case, all those silences on the Earth and neutral side go away to wild with the introduction of Rebellion. So assuming that there's not a lot of other neutral or Earth silences in Rebellion, if all you have is Goblin Psychic with 1 silence, it's basically going to neutralize Immortalis's, Obsidian's boost. So you're leaving it a base 2 magic damage, and even Immortalis with the Void, it's still going to do 1 damage. The reason why Immortalis is so powerful in the current format is you can basically silence such, especially with Wands Out rule sets, such that your opponent can't do any damage to you just because the Void and all the silences. 1 magic damage against a Void is 0 damage. So in this particular case, this 3 mana card, could in theory still do well in a mirror match against, Earth with Immortalis. And so.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a pretty awesome card, dude. It looks sharp too. I love the look of the set. I think it's just a nice evolution. It's nice. They're clean. And if this is a rare card that gets you 7 health for 3 mana, just the 7 health is solid too. So, I mean, I think it's going to be, this set is going to be powerful and it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I mean, again, if we compare it to Hill Giant, right, I think is probably on Earth is what you compare it to at this point. Hill Giant or maybe the Princess. Let's take a look here at Hill Giant. We talk about scope creep, right, as an example. Not scope creep, but power creep. Confusing.
Or maybe even like the Vampiric Blossom. I mean, that's a 5-mana card and that has 7 health and immunity. Mm-hmm. And 3, archer attack or arrows or whatever you call it. Ranged. So.
Yeah, I mean, Hill Giant, I mean, I use this card actually pretty frequently. I use it a lot with like Katralba as an example, as a tank. Now this is 3 mana, same speed, 3 melee damage instead of 2 magic damage, and 9 health instead of 7 health. It's got stun, but again, is it power creep? I don't know. I could definitely see myself using this rare card in Earth. It's a specialized card.
Untamed was so powerful, right? I mean, it's a powerful set. And if we lose that, we're going to need at least something relatively comparable.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, and Mondroid is here as well as Virus. Welcome to the stream, guys. Let's take a look compared to Revealer on the death side. That's another good comparison for power creep purposes. Let's see, death, because it's got immunity and magic damage. So you've got the Revealer here with a higher cost, right? You're looking at 4 mana. 4 mana. It's got less health, less speed, same magic damage with immunity. It loses Reflection Shield and Stun, but gains Snare. You would arguably say that both Reflection Shield and Stun are, more powerful than Snare, generally speaking. But you're, again, less health, less speed, less mana. So, I use Revealer quite a bit as well. Granted, I wouldn't use, this Earth Rebellion card in the same way I use Revealer, because I use Revealer not just for its immunity, but in many cases for its stun and reflection shield. But again, these are cards that are already useful, Hill Giant and Revealer, in their current modern format. You've got to imagine that the Blackmoor Nymph will find a home in Xbot lineups if Xbot could be played in modern, right? But it'll definitely work, I'm sure, its way into some of the wild lineups, for meta stuff, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, at Splinterfest, we saw Rebellion cards like presented. That was a year and a month ago. Mm-hmm. So over that time, I think they've really had time to fine tune this. They've had this probably in the back of their minds and working on it here and there along the way. So I do expect it to be pretty killer, and that's one of the reasons I'm getting pretty excited about it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be interesting. I was actually going to, at one point, look at a video on the topic of Rebellion and power creep and what it could mean, because one of the things I don't think has been covered from a content creation perspective yet is, Matt's mentioned this on multiple town halls now, is that prior to Rebellion, it was always Matt working with the, kind of the card power spreadsheet and balancing. That was Matt's deal, right? I mean, he's been the designer of all the cards in Splinterlands since the beginning, essentially. This is the first time in Splinterlands history that Matt is hands-off on card design from a power, ability, balance perspective. Now, that can be a scary proposition, right? It's an unknown that I don't think anyone's really talked about. We don't know if the cards will be overpowered, underpowered, balanced, unbalanced, or just right. but this is a net new piece of the puzzle that we have never experienced before. Whether it's good or bad, it's undetermined right now. What we do know is it's an uncertainty, because Matt essentially passing the torch to Call Me Tim, this is the first for Splinterlands. And this set is a first of many. It's a first of new abilities. It's the first of dual element summoners. It's a first for summoner tactics. And it's the first for someone besides Matt being responsible for essentially all of this from a balance perspective. So we will find out, I think, pretty quickly if that's a good thing or a bad thing. And I have no idea what it will be, but it for sure is something that is an uncertainty and could potentially be a risk, or it could potentially be a good thing, right? If this is works really well and everyone enjoys it. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, that it is different. And I definitely expect these cards to be powerful. I mean, you look at the Rift Watcher set, you look at the Ghost card, or not Ghost card, the Soulbound set. Like, there's some really strong cards out there right now. And it makes sense to me that the game keeps getting stronger and stronger. Because the older cards will have utility in other ways. The older the card, it doesn't matter what's on the card. It just matters at what rarity and what foil. And you can put it on land and let it work away. It doesn't matter how much melee or ranged attack or whatever. So the newer cards aren't going to have that same value on land. So they're going to assume they're going to get a little stronger each set. And also it makes you kind of need that set more so you can go out and buy it. Because the company does need to figure out exactly how to make money on a regular basis. And if they're going to rely on a set, that set's got to be pretty powerful. But there is a balance where it can't be too powerful. Like you said, it's got to be kind of just right. So I'm excited to open packs, man.
Yeah. It should be interesting. I mean, it should be a big set, lots of summoners, commons, rares, eventually legendary airdrops. So should change the way we play the game substantially, right? So
and I think one of the most brilliant things about this set is how they're doing the airdrop. So no longer is it how many packs do you buy in the store. Whether you sell them, play them, or whatever. It's different now. Now it's how many do you own and have in your account. And if you're playing them, then you can still get airdrop points and play the cards. So I don't see a lot of people just burning through packs. I think people are going to play it, and if they like the set and it works well, then we could see a good amount of packs sold.
Indeed, I'm just looking at Discord here. As you're making that comment, which is very insightful, as always, Walking Keys.
Thanks, brother.
I don't want to steal your thunder, Bjangles. Bjangles is dropping some alpha here on his Rebellion card to share, and it's pretty interesting. I don't know if I can share this, Bjangles. This is yours to unveil. This is your baby, and it's such a cute baby. So
it looks like the entire phase of a Demigorgon.
Yeah, I mean, you can see there on Twitter a little bit of the preview. I'm looking on Discord and I'm seeing the whole thing. I don't know if I feel comfortable. It's been all revealed on Twitter. Okay. Well, if you're giving me permission, we'll do a double reveal today, courtesy of the People's Guild. Let me pull this up, and Let me see. Can I? Bjangles, do you want to come on stream on Discord with Walking Keys and I, and
Oh, please do.
And introduce this lovely, beautiful card? Let me know. We can
tell me that like the evolution of a Demogorgon. Like it's the adult Demogorgon at the bottom, and then the pods and stuff.
No.
It gets you as it gets younger.
Let me see. It looks like, well, it reminds me of the aliens little pod that the facehuggers came out of, but
the facehuggers.
Give me a second here. Let me see.
Like
you know what I'm talking about, right?
I know exactly.
Yeah.
People's skills says shoot me an invite.
All right, let's make it happen. I'm gonna queue this up. We're gonna get Bjangles on here. I'm not sure technically how we're gonna make it happen. We're gonna try it. Stay with me, Walking Keys. Don't go anywhere. Let me see if I can.
I got no work this week.
Let me see how I can join. Let me see. Can I add? How do I add? Add another one. All right, we're gonna try this with Discord. I'm not sure if this is gonna work. Did I just lose keys?
Yo, I got no work this week.
Let me see how I can join. Let me see. Can I add? Oh no, I'm hearing echo. Add another one. All right, we're gonna try this with Discord. I'm not sure. Bjangles, do you have? Let me do this. Let me create a group. 1 second. You might need to mute your phone. I just lose keys. Let's see. Sorry guys, technical difficulties. There we go. There we go. Leave it to Bjangles to get us technically set up here.
Yo, fellas.
What's going on?
You guys hear me all right? Loud and clear?
I can. Sorry, guys. Technical difficulties. I can hear myself, though. So here we go. There we go. Leave it to Bjangles to get us technically set up here.
We were experiencing, what was it? The PECSAT error? Is that what's going on?
The PEBCAC.
Yo, fellas.
What's going on?
You guys hear me all right? Loud and clear?
I can. Sorry, guys. Technical difficulties. I can hear myself, though. Here we go. There we go. Leave it to Bjangles to get us technically set up here.
We were experiencing, what was it? The PECSAT error? Is that what's going on?
The PEBCAC. What's going on? Oh my gosh.
You guys hear me all right? Loud and clear?
I can. I can hear myself, though. Here we go. Leave it to Bjangles to get us technically set up here.
We were experiencing, what was it? The PECSAT error? Is that what's going on?
The PEBCAC. What's going on? Oh my gosh. Oof. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, I'm not sure what's happening here. We're going to try this one more time. Wow. We were visited by the past and the future all at once there. All right, here, try it one more time. Yeah, Bjangles has broken the internet and YouTube all at once. What's happening here? We're going to try this one more time.
Okay, so I'm going to mute YouTube and just get audio going through Discord. Hopefully that's the answer.
See, Bjangles, you're the problem.
Was I the problem?
I think so.
There's keys.
All right, we got to figure it out. Welcome.
What's
welcome.
up, fellas?
Yo, what's up, brother?
Long time no speak, gents. What's going on?
Man, we're here talking Splinterlands, and yeah, it's good vibes for sure.
It's always good to talk to you, my friend.
Likewise, man. I feel like I've been MIA for a little while, and I come back, and the Splinterlands world is going apey for all this stuff that's happening. It's good to see. You
It
too,
is.
man. I hear the excitement in Key's voice, which is great to hear.
Yeah, it's been a minute. I'm still, I'm optimistically hopeful here. And you know what today is, by the way? It's funny, we're talking on today of all days. At least in America, it's still November 22nd.
Oh, it's Turkey Day here. Happy early Thanksgiving.
No,
everybody.
not Thanksgiving.
Oh, well, what are you talking about? The day before Thanksgiving?
No, the Kennedy assassination.
Oh, right.
No, we're not. We're gonna turn this into
Are
conspiracy theory
we-
stream.
No,
Are we
I'm just saying it
Red Hole
was
skis?
60 years ago.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I I would be completely useless on a conspiracy theory stream. I would just be echoing, Darkest Night, saying that it's scientifically speaking because I have no knowledge of really any conspiracies. So I would have to be learning from all of you fine gents.
I don't know if learning is the right word.
Well, if any of you guys, Keys, I think this is right up your alley. I just finished the audiobook for a book called Blitzed, and it's about the serious pharmaceutical drug consumption throughout the Third Reich and World War II. And it's not necessarily rooted in conspiracy theory. There's a lot of evidence supporting what this author put out there, but it's mind-blowing, man, and it's definitely worth a listen. It's free on Audible for anybody who's out there who's interested.
I'm looking for it now.
Walking Keys is adding it to the queue as we speak.
I literally am.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Nice.
And added.
Bingo.
Thank you.
You can
You're welcome.
pipe that through the Walking Keys household over the holidays here. Make sure everyone's educated.
That's straight to AirPods.
Tales of the drug-addled Fuhrer to get you through the holidays. Nothing quite like that.
Well,
Yeah, so let's turn the pitch back to Splinterlands. Yeah, you want to pull that sexy card up, man? I'm super excited with the, it's just a common card, but the stats are really interesting because it's the first of its kind non-attacker that has offensive abilities, which I think is setting a really, really cool precedent for where the team has in mind for the future of weapons training. And hopefully, I mean, being just a common card, who knows what's going to be waiting for, the epic legendary non-attackers.
walk us through it. I just put it up on screen. Secrets out.
Yeah, so the lurking puffer, the artwork is a thing of beauty. It's what would you call it? The face grabbing monsters from
the face huggers from Aliens.
Face huggers. Yeah. And my first thought was kind of Demogorgon also. But yeah, that artwork is sweet, and I'm sure you got a full gamut of information from Nate and Creative Co, where it's got element, species, race, subrace, splinter.
Is this
I just love it.
Asexual? This is not a female or a male.
It is a plant of the fungoid race, and subrace is mycelia. Yeah, I just love the Britannica approach to how the team is kind of constructing these cards. I think we've talked about it before, Keys, but I just imagine, all of this stuff being narrated through the voice of David Attenborough, giving and here we're creeping up on the lurking puffer, and it's giving the full genus and species and all that stuff. So it's really like, painting a cool picture in my mind of, where the team is kind of envisioning the future of cards and like, a full encyclopedia of all this stuff. But yeah, I mean, I've been I have not been shy about my love for the Pelacor Conjurer. I think, those 2 mana tanks are just really, really incredibly powerful for the current meta and moving forward. But yeah, what is most exciting to me is the offensive abilities of Corrosive Ward and Poison on a weapons training monster, especially with the recently announced buff of weapons training, where even after the trainer disappears, the trainees will continue to hold that attacking power. Mm-hmm. And then a little bit of a defense with silence. You toss this with Immortalis, and all of a sudden you've got a void tank for 2 mana that's nerfing magic with silence, and then taking even further reduced magic damage with somebody like Void or something like Void from Immortalis. So very cool card.
What's interesting is if you paired this with Ava, right? So it wouldn't be a tank necessarily. It could be in the, let's say, the 4 spot or the 6 spot. Probably the 6 spot is actually not too bad because it has 9 health for 2 mana. So it can give you some sneak defense as well. But if we look at Ava the Undaunted, right, is the Soulbound reward card. And here's what I want to talk about when you talk about weapons training, which is interesting. If we go to Ava here, so at max level, you're going to get max weapon training damage. So Ava's 8 mana, and the puffer there is 2 mana. So for 10 mana, you're getting 2 cards, total of 8 archery damage, right, between the 2 of them, plus whatever other card you pair with this. That's tremendous value. Like, you're giving 4 archery damage to a 2 mana card with 9 health and poison, with silence as a support ability, plus Corrosive Ward against armor. I mean, that's tremendous value for 10 mana for those 2 cards.
Yeah, man. And I'm thinking of what's the epic Soulbound dude for Earth? Thane. New song.
Thane.
You stack the puffer with New Song around Ava, toss Fernheart as your summoner, and all of a sudden I love running the ranged strategy with Earth as it is. I think it catches a lot of folks off guard. So for 15 mana, you've got a really solid kind of core team to build around, whether you toss some sneak in the back, or you toss some the slip spawn in the back to attract attention. But
Fernheart is 4 mana, so you're looking at a 19 mana team with those 3 cards, and the health that you're putting out there with those 3 cards with Fernheart being able to attack, you've got 12 damage that can attack from any position, and you've got 18 health plus Ava's health, which is 7
plus the strengthen,
plus the strengthen, and you're getting silence, headwinds, inspire, strength. I mean, you're just getting tons of support abilities. You're getting tons of damage output, good health all around. That's a wicked combo. Thane, Ava, and that new card.
Lurking
Puffer. I mean, you're getting a ton of buffs, debuffs, damage, health for a bargain basement price. I mean, that's pretty sick. Yeah. So if you don't have your Fernhearts, you might want to check the market. So
load up, man. Yeah.
And here's another crazy thing. I don't know if I shared this on Twitter or not, but during the town hall, when Call Me Tim was talking about the changes to weapon training, I think I mentioned this on stream the other day with EB Jangles, is I immediately went out and I bought this. And I hadn't until that stream. Let me see. Yeah. I bought a level 3 Zero. And you asked why level 3? Because I only needed the 4 damage is what they're saying that's going to cap out at. And I don't trigger force field.
What's her? Is that the only thing that she gains at the highest level? Is the extra attack?
Yeah. So I lose reward share. I don't trigger force field, and I give full weapons training to everyone.
Not a bad call, man. Yeah, I love the buff for weapons training. I don't know if that was in direct response to Zerial kind of flopping out of the gate, and you very rarely come across her, but I think the market is going to have to respond with making moves on her. She's
had to look at that circulation. There's like only 145 or so of her max level available ever. There's more than that in Champion, right?
Yeah.
If you want to compete in tournaments, you want to compete at the highest level of Modern, these cards make a difference. So
I wonder what if you could, theoretically we're gonna get either a life in Earth or a death in Earth summoner. Zerial has to be applicable in that sort of situation for Earth, right? And all of a sudden, Ava, New Song, Lurker, Zerial, and you're just tossing out such a massive range squad.
Yeah, I mean, because remember in Wild you could add Failed Summoner. Zerial plus Failed Summoner is another Demoralize plus a bunch of health. Plus I think Failed Summoner does he have Strengthen at max level 2? I forget what his other ability is besides Magic Effect and Demoralize. But in either case, I mean, you're getting so much value from that 2-mana card. When you can combine it with weapons training, that's it's dispellable, but otherwise is gonna stick. So it's well. Here's the thing: is if they have made weapons training not great again, but great for the first time. When do they come around and fix recharge? When does Zyvax Vul actually get to be played at some point?
Yeah, I mean, I've got another question, and I'm sure you know where I'm going with this. I think some of the folks that have listened to the People's Guild episodes definitely know where I'm coming with this. Is Cripple, when is my boy Dallin actually going to get some FaceTime? I felt like Corrosive Ward could have been merged into Cripple. It kind of makes sense from a lore perspective, where Cripple would damage beyond being repairable both the armor and the health, and I felt like that would have been a great buff to Cripple. But there's definitely some work to be done. Recharge and Cripple, I think, are both in need of getting some stock boosted. But I think the adjustment to weapons training kind of sets the precedent for the team being willing to go back and rework these things.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think it's going to be a sad day when I have to go on the market and buy a Dallin.
I'm surprised after I handed it to you with that Dallin magic only move that you didn't make your way straight to the market.
No, that was just a broken clock move.
Hey man, the meta is niche. Niche is the new meta. And if you've got the summoner to fit the match, then you're gonna set the tone. And Dallin definitely has his place, and that's certainly one of them.
It's a really good play, and I think you need to create a specific video for the People's Guild on that strategy, because I know you've mentioned it before, but I don't think many people understand it or realize how good it actually is.
Yeah, I've yet to come up and face it. Keeping that one a little under wraps. It's I think it's pretty tough to beat when in those magic only rule sets. So I'll leave it up to you, Tails. Next time we face each other and you get a match, or you could go back in Twitter and pull that. It's on the permanent record of Twitter, our match.
Yeah, it is for everyone to see. unfortunately for me. But yeah, no, it's good stuff. So walking keys. I mean, we know that Bjangle's favorite splinter is, or element is death. Do you have a favorite element?
I mean, it's funny because death is probably my favorite too. But lately, I've really liked fire just to switch it up a little. With some of the Chaos Legion cards, I kind of gravitated towards fire a little bit. But death has been traditionally my favorite too. From the beginning.
Nice.
Yeah. I like Grum, Flame Blade favorites.
Well, have you, I mean, with the new flank ability, I mean, you could put some pretty beastly fire teams together with flank, and you can have Grum in the second position with like Yasik and stuff. Yeah. I mean, you can make some pretty beefy lineups there. What do we think about the flank ability by making pretty much any melee card have reach?
I think it's awesome.
I'm curious. I'm not sure that I've gotten the clarity, or maybe I'm sure somebody has. But my understanding is that the flank ability has to be provided from the first position, and it only applies to the monster behind. Is that your understanding? Maybe somebody in chat, Virus. I'm looking at you. Is that your understanding, Tails?
It seemed to be implied on the town hall that it only affected the second position, right? But I don't know if it needed to be in the first position. I don't know, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think that would have a pretty significant impact on my opinion of the power of flank. But yeah, running something like Yasik with Grum being able to play from that second position is pretty sweet.
Right,
it's fun. I almost never played Grum, but that would definitely get me to play Grum.
Especially if you could choose what was in the first position. For example, if you could put the flanking unit in position 3, right? Because then you're not dependent on the flanking card's stats to dictate your 1-2 position play. That'll be interesting to see, because if all of a sudden you can pick your 1 position and your second position reach card, that, especially with dual elements, oh my, then we start getting into some real crazy combinations potentially.
Did you guys see the there was a second leak of, not leak, but a second reveal, sneak peek from the team on Peak D a few hours ago with four new cards, two dragon cards, a neutral and a water card. Have you gotten your eyes on that yet, Tails?
I have not. You need to send the link so we can preview that on stream as well.
There you go. And Keys, you want to drop a little hints for your card, Keys, and let the people speculate?
Yes. Hold on, let me pull it up here.
No pressure, Keys.
It's a legendary.
Oh boy.
And it's life. It's pretty badass.
Oh, there you go. Virus just confirmed. If the unit with this ability is in the first position, then the unit in the second position gains the reach ability. Prepared to leverage positioning and the element of surprise. So it is unique to that positioning of flank in position 1, monster in position 2 gains reach.
Yeah, I mean, even more important for summoner tactics to come into play, right? With dual elements, introducing all kinds of crazy combinations, it's going to be like the counter, because if now all of a sudden you can do some dual element magic to salvage a battle just because you come across some crazy stuff, it's going to be interesting. I mean, the argument has always been that bots will always be superior in Splinterlands because bots handle complexity, obviously much easier than the human brain can because of the data sets and the numbers. But at what point do all these variables of dual elements and summoner tactics and other things become a point where are there too many variables for a bot to process? I don't think so. I think they'll still run these scenarios and simulations to get the data. But for a human, I mean, my head would just be spinning looking at all the, for example, water and death cards to select from to build a team, functional team, let alone what tactics I'm going to use, day one, right? Because that's going to be a huge selection, especially in wild. If you're looking at neutral, water, death for wild, it's going to be multiple pages of cards to scroll through. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah, more cards is going to be easier for bots and harder for humans.
Yep.
I'll be sticking to modern. Not going to be my problem.
Well, here's another card. You want to walk through? Who wants to walk through this? Keys, Bojangles. What are you seeing here on screen?
Why don't we start with the second card?
The second card, okay.
Yeah. So the reason that I asked is specifically because it's a neutral weapons trainer, and fits really well with the puffer. The puffer. It's hilarious. So I kind of leaked out bits and pieces of, I don't know if you saw, but as the tweet kind of thread progressed, I was leaking out different letters and stuff like that on the names, and people were guessing some pretty hysterical names, like Pumpkinfloofer, like some German sounding stuff. Some funny names. But yeah, hilarious name. But yeah, this Moxian Rebel, number 1, Little League, number 2, Camouflage, number 3, Weapons Training. This kit is just super duper sweet. And yet another win for all those non-attacking tanks that throughout the game. You stack this in with that lineup that we were talking about earlier. Yeah, or I mean, just the puffer alone kind of puts Earth at the forefront of my mind as far as a Little League contender. It's such a great mix. You toss this lady in, Dr. Blight in there, and yeah, all of a sudden you got a really, really strong under 4 mana magic lineup.
Yeah. I mean, it's certainly low cost, right? 4 mana, 2 manas, getting a lot of value. And getting, maybe not a lot of damage in that particular case, but seems like pretty good value.
It definitely seems like the lower mana cards are getting a little more powerful. At least giving people more options.
Yeah, I mean, this is a rare card, 4 mana. Compared to Dr. Blight, 4 mana, neutral, promo, legendary, stat wise, less damage, more speed, obviously armor, more base health. For a rare card, seems it doesn't have obviously the same ability set combination, but I think it would be interesting to see how Splinterlands calculates value for mana, because it seems like that formula has slightly changed over time, because at least from a stat perspective, the stats, to your point, Walking Keys, seems to be getting much bulkier, right? Much more value. Like if we were to look at a traditional card game, there's a lot of value trade in card games traditionally where there's overstated cards for mana cost with like 0 abilities, because there's strategies to use those cards to make trades and stuff like that. In Splinterlands, it's not the same concept, but what we're seeing, it looks like if you were to compare this to a 4-mana neutral, beta or untamed card, I think with this, if you added up all the stats, this would definitely probably come out on top.
Yeah, but before we kind of continue diving down this, Keys, did you want to?
Yeah, I gotta bounce, guys. I apologize. I'm having a good time, but I got some responsibilities to take care of.
Don't worry.
Yeah, what was the new word that you taught us earlier, Keys?
Scurry funge.
Yeah, that's the next rebellion card to be revealed is the scurry funge.
Scurry fungus.
All right, brother. Glad I caught you, Keys.
Me too, guys. Thank you all. Have a good Thanksgiving, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Thanks, Keys. Appreciate you hopping
Later,
on,
brother. Thanks, Tails.
Yeah, man. So to your point, it feels like Alpha Beta felt like a lot of cards gained some pretty key abilities at lower levels. Untamed, it kind of took a step back. Chaos Legion, it felt like it really took a step back, and then we kind of saw the return to that formula, if you will, with Rift Watchers, and it looks like Rebellion is kind of swinging the pendulum even further back towards those earlier levels, unlocking really, really key and meta defining abilities, which certainly going to shake things up. Doesn't do any favors to Chaos Legion, but yeah, it's going to be fun to play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree. Let's go back up here. Another 4-mana here, water card. What's your breakdown of this?
Fits with the speed meta that water's got. I love seeing the snipers come back into play. We were kind of left empty-handed with, I think you can count the number of snipers on Chaos Legion and Rift Watchers together on one hand. And it's such a fun, sneaky play. For the longest time, in fact, I completely ignored snipe as a viable option, and this brings that right back into play for water. And a lot of folks these days are tossing like the Murdampere in the back of Little League, and something like the Angelic Mandarin or the Bandit is of course a go-to. I think this all of a sudden adds a really viable option as well. I seem to be running into ranged only rule sets every other time I push play, find a match. I feel like this guy, we've seen some folks toss the Naga Assassin up front for her, speed and backfire. I feel like this is a great option to toss up front as a tank. Obviously, that big health points plus dodge, with a pretty substantial speed. It's a great card, man. What do you think?
It seems hugely overstated for a common 4-mana card. Just looking at the speed stat line with the health stat line and the dodge, if it had nothing else but 5 speed, 9 health, dodge, and 1 archery damage for 4 mana would seem to be realistic. But then you give it phase and snipe and extra damage. It seems really good. Stick this in front of Dr. Blight on a water team. You're going to have good sneak defense, and even if it gets to the front, you're going to give Dr. Blight so many extra turns to stick the poison or the affliction or scavenge some health. 5 speed with Kelia is 6 speed with dodge. It's an 85% dodge chance base with 9 health. For 4 mana, yeah, please.
Toss in the Spirit Hoarder for good measure. I know you and I have gone, plenty back and forth with the Spirit Hoarder. Its degree of leveling things up for somebody like Astral Entity, but yeah, now all of a sudden you toss that on the water lineup, and what can you do some quick math? What's the percentage hit chance on on this guy with a blind added.
Oh, I forget now. Is blind 15%? Supposedly, I don't know. Whatever blind mathematically is in the game, it's much more. It's much higher than that when I face it. I can tell you that. But yeah, I mean, the question is is there a way to get speed and blind up to a point where Aquatis could be used for water at some point?
I think that's got to be the thought process, right? Like, it feels like some of the cards that have been leaked out will really mesh well with a lot of those Riftwatcher summoners that, the only ones that I really see are Ilthane and occasionally Fernheart. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it feels like most of those guys are just riding the pine for folks that own it. Yeah, man, getting backfire on Team Water. I think a lot of folks had the ambitions of Aquatis giving real value to something like Phantom of the Abyss. I don't think I've ever seen that play happen in reality. Maybe this is what's going to make that dream come true for folks.
Yeah, we shall see. Yeah. Definitely opens up some options for sure.
Supreme Victory calls nickname MC Hammer can't hit this. It does look like he's got some parachute pants on in that image there. And that stash is, I would say that mustache rivals Immortalis for best in the game right there.
Yeah. This card looks interesting too. Dragon here. It's a epic dragon card. 9 mana, Redworm Dragon here. It's got some decent speed with flights. What are your thoughts on this one for an epic?
I'm a big fan of stun. I think stun is critically underused. It's good to see. We've already seen a handful of cards come in with immunity, and this is there's a lot to like here. Not a whole lot of magic output, but again, to your point of Aquatis, and we talked about Fernheart earlier. My first thought here is Thispa. 6 speed. It's one of the faster out of the box dragon monsters. With the immunity, easy first call for a tank, and then there's a lot to like here. Pairs well really nicely with the card that is next that's bringing blind to the table for Team Dragon. So what's your hot quick take here?
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think it's, when I first looked at it, I was like, man, is this like a kind of an alternate version of Diamond Dragon? But it's interesting with Thispa, as you mentioned. You've got 6 speed plus flight, so it's a base 85% for a non-flyer for dodge chance. To start with, it's got immunity, which is great for a tank. You've got 6 armor, 11 health, which is not terrible. You're not a giant, so you're not susceptible to giant killer. You don't have Kitty out there, so you're not going to have True Strike to worry about in modern. So it could be viable. I think what would be interesting in the Enrage rule set, or Spreading Fury, I guess, you're going to go up to 9 speed without any swiftnesses out there, with no Kitty. Nightmare is not going to be available for death. So you have to start looking at what are your options for that rule set that you really want to take advantage of the Enrage option for. That really just makes the other team spiral out of control, basically. They just waste too many of their attacks, and they just start to get rolled. And this could be the modern version of Nightmare, perhaps.
Yeah, that's a great call, and good call out on the not being susceptible to giant killer. And I was just checking, and he is next to Vruz, the fastest guy on Team Dragon out of the box, which is the assassin has 6 speed, the Skyclaw has 6 speed. But otherwise, Dragon doesn't have a single fast tank. Void Dragon is up there, but this guy's even faster than Void Dragon. And so Dispa, man, I can't wait to see Dispa get her day along with Dallin.
Yeah, I mean, when you put Thispa out there, you get the phase, right? Which Nightmare is obviously a huge benefit. So you're at 7 speed with Nightmare with phase. So Thispa with Dragon with this new card, with the flight, you're actually a little bit faster than Nightmare at that point, assuming the other person is in flight. Because with Nightmare, you're at 11 speed and rage with no flight. With phase, in this case, you'd be at 9 speed with flight, so you're at 11.5. So this is actually a little bit faster than Nightmare against non-flyers in that rule set. And Nightmare in that rule set is already super strong.
My eyes just slowly drifted down to the text, and it also has immunity, which is crucial in the Noxious Fumes rule set, and to counter the tactics of a certain underboss summoner from the Gobson family. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You want to do a little bit of speculation there, man? What are they? What is Team Nate alluding to there?
So it's a summoner tactic, right? So it's going to give you an option to it's going to counter the tactics of a certain. So immunity is basically. So it's going to be some kind of thing.
Poison, affliction.
Yeah, they were going to drop something on you. Potentially, that if this is your tank, that summoner is not going to use the tactic on you because it's not going to stick with immunity. So,
well, it couldn't be poison if they're specifically referencing Noxious Fumes. Yeah, so maybe affliction will be.
Could be affliction. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, just the icing on the old dragon cake. I like it.
Yeah, well, look at this card. This is interesting. Lots of support abilities here. Walk us through this.
Yeah, this has got to be the best of the bunch. That cleanse on Dragon. That's next best thing to neutral is getting it on Dragon. Team Earth is losing their cleanse. This is a viable option now for Death. There's not a great cleanse option on Fire. All of a sudden this card it looks broken. That ability set is just filthy.
Yeah, legendary. It's kind of like, it's a great, like, compare this to Queen Mycelia from a legendary standpoint, right? You've got it's 5 support abilities basically. That's crazy. No attack, but again, it can be addressed with weapons training, right? At 4 mana. You get the cleanse, you got the protect, you got the blind, the prepare, and the amplify. Man, that's a lot of support for 4 mana.
You know what my first thought is, Tails, and this might break the thought process for a lot of folks, is Venari Heatsmith up front, the weapons trainer that we just talked about, Maxian Rebel, in position number 2, and this lady in number 3.
Yeah, it's super cheap. How much is that? 4 mana, 3 mana, and 4 mana. That's like 11 mana for your 3 cards on your team, and you're getting what?
5 magic armor, repair, thorns, amplify,
protect,
3 magic output,
blind, repair.
Venari Heatsmith, go buy them now. Not financial advice.
Man, I already use Venari Heatsmith actually from time to time in its current format, so it's only going to get better. So it's only because my Crash Wanderford doesn't have what he needs yet. So
yeah, that's going to be a fun one too with this. But once Kitty makes a takes the final curtain call here in a couple of weeks. Dude, I got to tell you, Tails, I've been with you all along, kind of holding out on Rebellion. I'm certainly planning on cherry picking some cards, but I got to say that these leaks of cards that are coming to Rebellion, you know, like keys, it's getting me excited for the game again. It feels like, you know, you called it earlier, weapons training is finally going to be a very viable option. The meta is going to completely get turned 180 degrees. A lot of those cards that we've seen kind of riding the pine from Rift Watchers and Chaos Legion are going to finally see their day in the meta. Yeah, Rebellion's looking really, really good at this point in time.
Definitely is. You know, it's interesting because we've had such a, let's say, a lack of releases, functionality, updates. Really, it's been months. I mean, when you think about it, since we've gotten really anything to speak of substance to actually play with in the game. And within literally the next 2 weeks, like there's going to be unleashed like a flood of gameplay content in Splinterlands that is going to be, quite honestly, pretty incredible. I mean, we've talked about it at the beginning of the stream with the Land 2.0 white paper, you know, Land release, Rebellion release, you know, all that Rebellion brings, which is quite significant. And at the same time, you know, we'll also have a GLG release more than likely. So you could, you know, go from right now botting your account in Wild to all of a sudden spending like 8 hours a day playing like Splinterlands games, right? Very easily, which is crazy.
Yeah. And there was something mentioned about Arcade Colony getting something in the short to medium term as well. Something that we didn't mention, Tails, is, and this guy seems to have kind of fallen a little bit in with all the more recent cards getting released, but Grimbar Dune Smith, the promo rare card. Yeah, all of a sudden he is, you know, he was my favorite of the 2 promo cards out of the gate, but
agreed.
Even more so now with, you know, the buff to weapons trainer, the addition of these neutral cards coming in with weapons training. Oh man, it's I feel like the Splinterlands community, we're going to collectively lose our heads in the next few weeks if we get, you know, 1.5 next Tuesday. We get Rebellion hitting shelves the following Tuesday. Sprinkle in some 2.0 white paper in there. Holy moly! There's a lot happening, man. It's an exciting time to be here.
There's quite a bit going on, and you know, I would say that even a lot of people probably haven't even gotten to really kind of kick the tires with Inevitable and Immolation to a degree, right? Because especially if you're playing in Diamond Champion, like there's a lot of people that may not have the right levels of that card yet. So introduce those cards into the mix, all these Rebellion cards, the changing of Modern being what it is. I mean, there could be some card FOMO for folks that's realized here real quick, because I mean those cards, like if you're looking to get, you know, Diamond or Champion versions of just Immolation and Inevitable, that's like over $200 per card of just those 2 cards. And then if you're looking to try and get Diamond level cards of Rebellion, or even, you know, how many is it? You need 400 Bardoon? Is he 150? Is he a rare or common? I forget.
400 common, 115 for rare.
Yeah, but he's a common, right? Or
Bardoon Smith is is rare.
Rare, so it's 115. So, yeah. Well, I mean, he's probably going to be over $1 a BCX, right? I'm guessing. So that's another $200 if you don't have packs. So all of a sudden, if you want to compete at Diamond and Champion in the Modern League with some of these, cards, better open up your wallet because stuff's not going to be cheap.
Yeah, I think let's talk kind of market strategy for the foreseeable future. Are you now, or have you already made moves on any of the final Riftwatchers airdrops? C-Rec Immolation Inevitable?
I have not. I've looked at them. I almost pulled the trigger the other day when it was, I think it was Immolation was 18. But that didn't last very long. It's expensive at Diamond and Champion. You got to kind of, for me, I'm having to pick and choose my battles. I bit the bullet on Zero because I thought that could be worthwhile. Again, if there was a good deal on Immolation or Inevitable, I might have done the same thing. But only because I didn't go in heavy on the pre-sale of Rebellion, I'm able to kind of pick and choose my battles a little bit at this point. But at some point, I'm going to have to, basically jump in when it comes to Rebellion. The question is when, and how big. But a lot of that I think is going to depend for me on what happens with land. So
yeah, fair enough.
We'll see. But look, I wish I had enough funds that I could buy all the things and just wave my magic wand and be good. But that's not reality, unfortunately.
Have you been slowly getting rid of your Untamed cards? I'm not sure I've heard you speak. I'm sure you have addressed this at some point since the announcement of Rebellion, but are you hanging on to your kitties of the world, or what's your plan there?
I am. I'm a hoarder. I mean, when it comes to cards like that, and I think it was alluded to earlier, I think it was Icy Flow was mentioning that I like the spam kitty, and I don't know if that's necessarily the case, but I do like to use my Byzantine kitty from time to time in battles, and to not have that in my deck when I go into a brawl or I go into a tournament, if I to sell that card, I just I can't do it right now. And I don't know if it's an emotional thing. It's definitely not a financial thing, because the financial thing would have been to sell it 3 months ago or more. But for me, I look at it like, I don't want to part with the kitty, even if it's only going to be used in the wild format. Maybe that's a mistake long term. Maybe pretty much the strategy is rotate out and only play the modern cards and get rid of everything else if you want to be sustainable in the game. I'm not there yet. We'll see if I get there at some point, though.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I down the stretch, the last 6 months, I've kind of slowly picked up Untamed cards as people were kind of preparing for this, or selling for Riftwatchers or whatever it was. As the Untamed cards started going down in price, I was slowly stacking. And Almo is one that I maxed ages ago. Was one of the first Untamed cards that I went out and bought off the market and maxed as quickly as I could. And I just can't part with it, man. Now, some of those Untamed cards are just too good. Always going to be relevant in the wild meta. But yeah, I'm with you. As far as moving forward, though, I made my first new card purchase for the sake of gameplay in months. I think the last I did get what was the the order of things. Ancient Redwood, was that the airdrop prior to C-Rec? Must have been, right?
Was it? Let me check.
Which was months and months ago.
Yeah, was it that long in between airdrops?
We went a good while because we were waiting for the burn to A, get approved, and B, burn through.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was.
Yeah, so that was the last new card that I had purchased, and that must have been 5 or 6 months ago at this point, maybe even longer. But I did go out into the market and snagged a level 2 inevitable. There was a decent price. I think I paid $65, just to get him. I've got a silver alt account that he's currently delegated over to, but yeah, I think you've got to keep. Be mindful of these Rift Watchers airdrops, especially with Rebellion coming in. I think we'll start to see some price movement on those guys, and then longer term, I think cherry picking the meta cards off of the Rebellion market is going to be my game plan as well. I'd love to go in and get packs and participate in the War Wagon stuff for airdrops. I think that's such a brilliant move on behalf of the team. I'm not sure I fully understand the mechanics on that stuff, or if they've even kind of walked through what that process of competing with the wagons looks like. But yeah, man, I'm just it's great to see the community kind of getting hyped behind all that's happening. And 2 weeks ago, Salt was coming hot and heavy with the most recent delay announcement to land, and it almost feels like it's a bit of an afterthought for better or worse at this point in time. But yeah, exciting stuff, man.
Yeah, I think so. There's two questions I have for you. First, when you talk about ancient Redwood, and how often do you use this card? Because I can tell you, I thought I would use it a lot more than I do. I honestly don't use this card that much.
I use it all the time.
You do?
All the time. I think it's criminally underrated. That whenever I play him, he is the single. He probably walks away from the match with the most blood on his hands. Having that piercing and true strike is just it's tough to beat. And then the one speed, he's just a cleanup crew. Whatever damage is done in the rounds prior to him getting his shots, just sets it up for an easy kill. Force field is the only thing that goes against the Ancient Redwood. Otherwise, he's just so good. He's the anti-Almo with the reflection shield. I think he's still the only reflection shield that we've seen on Team Earth, right? So stacking him with the slip spawn at the back, it's a great card, man. I think I play him a lot with range only rule sets. I'll toss him in with Fernheart, and nobody sees it's coming. It picks all the pesky flyer range guys out of the sky, and he's tough to beat, man. I think he's definitely underutilized in the meta from what I can tell. I almost never come across him, but I play him a lot. I get a pretty good win clip with the Redwood.
Yeah, I for whatever reason, I always seem to try and play him when my opponent plays my Select Slip Spawn, and I just am always disappointed. But that just could be my poor planning. It's interesting because when you're talking about the Grim Bardoon Smith, I wanted to pull this up as well because I think this was interesting. I was looking at, as an example, I was looking at this card because I have a level 3 of this, right? Which is just match, reflect, shield, and void. But I want the thorns. I wanted a level 3, which is 5 BCX. And this card was down to $9 just in the last week. And normally I would have scooped that up without even thinking about it. Like a level 3 Lord A for like $45. I mean, is like a no-brainer, right? But here's the thing. The reason why I didn't was, one, because I'm not sure, what the rewards are going to look like in Wild, moving forward, with the prospect of me ever getting that $45 back from an ROI perspective, no matter how good the card is. And two, from a modern perspective, is Grim Bardoon Smith, a better Lord
the more
A?
viable option.
Yeah. And usable in modern, a better card overall, and usable in modern, and has a longer shelf life. So I was like, am I going to drop $45 on Lord A and never really get the use out of it? Or am I just going to wait and, get a Grim Bardoon Smith and call it a day?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I think my personal experience tells me Almo is better than Lord A, and a big piece of that is the immunity. Obviously, it's not apples to apples. Almo relies on speed and evasiveness. Lord A is more, hit me and I'll throw it back at you. But as far as like the big neutral tank that can, take a lot of damage, be sustained, I think the immunity plays such a big piece, especially, we're seeing a lot more poison, a lot more affliction. Immunity is just the icing on the cake. So yeah, I think it would, if it were me making that decision of either Lord A or hold out for Mr. Smith, Grim Bardoon, there's a lot to like with the new promo card. It's mana cost perspective is comparable as well, right? Lord A's 5, Bardoon Smith is 6, and Almo's 7. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, lots of choices. It also lends to the question is, at what point, do some of these alpha and beta cards, if you're not going to use them on land, become too good to pass up, right? Another example is, I'll share just, stuff that I'm looking at because I think it's interesting. Zyntar here, max copy of Zyntar is $116. Is Zyntar like a rock star? No, not compared to all these other summoners that we're putting out there. But can he, like Immortalis in certain rule sets, get you an auto win? Absolutely. What is that worth, right? It's probably not worth $116. But at what point is, from a collector's perspective, or from a wild, competitive wild player's perspective, is that card worth looking at? I don't know the answer to that question. I struggle with that because I'm still trying to myself understand how much I want to play in Wild and what the long-term returns are going to be there. But yeah, it's I guess I have to struggle with that and get to an answer at some point. But I'm just, compared to where we've been and where we've come now, it seems like it's a complete 180, and I don't know if that's going to change rapidly. For example, where we're kicking ourselves for not buying Lord A's and Zentars and Almos at these prices. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, that's the $1 million question, man. I mean, you're looking at, I run the bot on occasion if work has been particularly busy of late, and I've had to click on the bot more than I would have liked. But recently, within the last 2 days in Champ, 4,000 ratings, so Champ 2, I guess, getting almost just above 7 SPS per win. So, with all the stuff that's happening, both within Splinterlands and the greater macro crypto markets, at what point, and what I mean by that is at what price per SPS token is that a really viable option to pursue? 7 SPS in Champ is not a bad deal. And just for some perspective, I'm at the top of I'm back down to the middle of Champ 3 in Modern, but I'm getting 13 SPS per win. So a little bit more than half of that for the bot. So at what point, that's not a bad deal.
Yeah, I mean, at 20 cents SPS, if that's $1.40 a win, that's a different calculation at that point, right? And at that point, then these card prices would obviously be no-brainers. The question is, do you have the faith and, conviction to say that, yes, I know and I believe, or I think SPS can get to that level and sustain at that level to make, these playing, I wouldn't say investments, but playing choices now to give you an advantage in the future. Again, it's hard to say, but I think there's certain folks, certainly in our stream today, that I think would say that now's the time. Now's the time to go all in and reap the rewards, because for a lot of folks, myself included, probably yourself included, given when we started the game, we haven't had the advantage of Untamed and Dice and Beta and stuff in our decks, right? To be able to basically take advantage of. And, now technically we have no excuses, right?
Yeah. I'm going to take this opportunity, Tails, and do a little shameless plug for the People's Guild. We had Crypto Eater on 2 weeks ago, and he goes into a lot of detail that he doesn't hide his bullishness at all, and he makes no attempt to do so. We had Azurkon on last week, and love him or hate him, he's a polarizing figure in the community. He'd be the first to tell you he kind of looks for places where he can stick his nose in and stir things up, and he does a good job of it. But at his core, he's a believer and a mega bull on Splinterlands and Hive. Next week, I'm going to drop some names for what's coming up. We've got Cryptomancer hopping in next week, and he's been along for the ride for the whole time, and he's one of the biggest asset holders in the game. So it'll be interesting to get a pulse on, where is his headspace at as far as, bull, bear, where on that moving dial does he kind of fit long term. I have a sneaky suspicion we both know where he will kind of come out, revealing himself just based on what he's holding in the game. And then the week after, we got Matt Clark, who, also from the very early days of Steam Monsters and back when Steam was just getting fired up. They're all bulls, long-term bulls in what Splinterlands and what Yaba is trying to accomplish here. So, and all guys, I'll be the first to tell you, much smarter than I am when it comes to kind of, providing that analysis and what is their why. And I don't think it would be too far-fetched to say that everybody's got a little bit of a different, path to determining their why and what is the logic in their bullishness. But yeah, man, I'm gonna echo Key's earlier sentiment in what he shared, and that he's optimistically hopeful, and hopefully we are kicking ourselves in the next 6-12 months for thinking twice about a $140 max lore day.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be a great problem to have at the end of the day. And I think you also bring up an interesting point in that, I think a lot of the current content creators, for Splinterlands, don't necessarily have that perspective or background just because of, when they, us, started Splinterlands, right? So I think, when you bring on folks, like the lineup that you just mentioned, most recently and coming up in the future, understanding that perspective and point of view is very, very important, because, a lot of, maybe the regular content you consume is not from that perspective. because those content creators, or us, we, them, whatever, started later in the game. And I can tell you that Virus will share with you, and After Sound and Darkest Night as well, from After Dark Fest, when we were able to sit down and talk with New Age, right, as from his perspective, because he's also from that similar generation of Splinterlands, and that perspective on the game and what's happened in the past and what many believe and have faith will happen again. They approach the game from a different, how do I say this, a different perspective or level of faith, maybe, that is hard for, I think, someone who hasn't gone through some of that before to have, right? Which is interesting. But maybe we'll close it there, because I know we've been going for a while on that thought. But I'm curious to get your take on that, and what you think that perspective means to the community that exists today, and also the new community that might be on its way in the doors. Vijana, is he still there? Welcome to the Tails stream.
Tails stream. Can you hear me, Tails?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, I can hear you. Oh, sorry about that.
Got some
echo. I think you hit the nail on the head there with what is the key differentiator in terms of our perspectives. The Gen 1 guys coming in, Alpha, Beta. I would make an argument that Untamed is part of that first generation as well. Versus the Gen 2 and later folks. Most of the content creators are of that second generation. With the Gank is a rare exception. Keys to a certain degree. But most of us that are doing content on a regular basis are part of that Chaos Legion era. And the key differentiator is we've seen nothing but red candles since we got here. I think back to the amount of it's tough not to call it the financial investment. It is the financial investment that I put in. I remember when I was first getting started, and Almo was going for $35 a BCX, and what's his face? You even think about some of the Chaos Legion cards. Kui Masila was going for the better part of $20 for the longest time. And we've just continued to watch those prices dwindle. It's been, more than almost 2 years now since Chaos Legion has been on the table, and that set has just been, along with all the other assets, have just been, continuing to spiral down. And for the first time since most of us have been here, we're starting to see things moving in the right direction. So, having that longer term perspective and watching, it's one thing to hear that it's been, that crypto is it's a loop, it's a cycle, it's going to repeat. It's another to live it and to watch, kind of the mechanics at the high levels of the game, i.e. what Yaba and Team Economy are doing at Splinterlands, and watching those things get the wheels turning. So yeah, hopefully Gen 2 is we can all be lumped together as firm believers, and we obviously came into the game as believers, but that conviction has been shaken, I think, for a lot of folks. It's been really hard, watching guys like Darkest Night throw in the towel. I haven't seen or heard from him in quite a while, and he represents kind of the best of what this game needs. So watching guys like that lose faith is really, really tough. So green, we said it last week, we've heard it a number of times. Green candles is the best marketing, and that's, I would also make the argument that green candles is the best retention tool. So as soon as we start seeing the flywheel, whether it's mythical or not, and if it takes us to new heights on various assets that are associated with the flywheel, and obviously card prices would be tied to that, land would be tied to that. Validator licenses would be tied to that. We'd start seeing everything tick up according to that movement getting triggered on the flywheel. So I think that's what it's going to take. Until then, we've got to take everything with a grain of salt from what Gen 1 is saying. But the fact that a lot of these OGs watched their, Stever is another great one. Watched their asset collections go from, easily 6 figures dwindling down to, 50K. I think Stever referenced he was, I think on paper he was technically a millionaire for a little while with all of his Splinterlands assets, and now he's just a fraction of that. So it'll be good to kind of shore up the conviction of a lot of these folks that have been nothing but shaken for the last 2 years. I don't know if I've really answered your question, Tails, but I think getting the chance to walk the walk of watching all of these mechanics kind of come to full fruition and bear fruit for the Generation 2 is going to be what it takes to really settle in that conviction longer term again.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. And I think, just maybe as a closing topic is, I think it's hard to not, I guess overstate that drop that we've experienced during this bear market. Going from $1 million to, $50,000, just seems like numbers when you mention it, but in reality, it's a 95% drop, right? I know when I looked at the collection value of my cards recently, I hadn't looked at it for probably like a year. I was just like, oof, that's not what I expected, right? Because we've been beaten into submission pretty much over the last 2 years, and 95% for some of us or many of us is, that's a big drop. But to your points, I think things are setting up for a potential renaissance here, for some really potentially good news and movement. Let's see. All we can do is deliver, a fun game that has good game mechanics and game loops that adds value to underlying assets. And if Splinterlands does that and does it in the right fashion and delivers on it, then I think we'll be set up for success over a long enough time horizon, as Dwayne likes to say. So good stuff. I really appreciate you hopping on, Bjangles. I know it's kind of last minute here, but really appreciate your insight. I always, appreciate the People's Guild podcast on a weekly drop. Always very interesting conversations. Just, so in depth, that long form conversation that you have and your ability to connect, with the not only the audience but the guest on a weekly basis is very powerful. So thanks for that. Do you want to pitch the podcast, and where can people find you if they don't know?
Yeah, thanks for the kind words, Tails. And I always enjoy hearing from folks that can take something away from the podcast. I think it's in a world of short form content, the long form stuff I think is even more valuable. And Hep and I and originally Waskell and I, when we started the podcast, that was the whole we felt like it was an imperative necessity for something that was missing in the community. And we're happy to kind of embrace the mantle of being the guys that are always willing to have that long form conversation. So yeah, for anybody who's uninitiated to the People's Guild, you can follow us on Twitter. I don't even know our Twitter account. You got me on the spot here, Tails. It's at the People's Guild, no spaces. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, you name it. We're more than likely going to be on your podcast platform. We've also got a YouTube channel, and we're on Peak D. So wherever you consume your podcast, just give us a search. The name again is The People's Guild. Yeah, and like I mentioned earlier, we've got a slew of some great guests. Cryptomancer, the lead dev at Splinterlands, is hopping on from Tokyo with us next week. Followed up by Matt Clark, which should be a really good one from a timing perspective. It's just on the heels of the Rebellion drop, general sale, cards being playable. Land will be in full motion, so hopefully Matt Two Castles Clark has some cool insights to share. And then the week after, we've got Breaking Benjamin, who's the I forget what his title is, but he's responsible for all the lore at Team Steam Monsters. So yeah, we've got a couple of the big boys in the community coming on the next few weeks. Should be fun. Drop a comment, say what's up. We're always happy to hear from everybody.
Awesome. That's fantastic. And yeah, great stuff. And one of these days, I'll maybe get an invite to come back and chat.
You're always welcome, Tails. Always welcome. This is enough of a shove, dude. I'm sending you an invite as soon as we get off this call.
No worries. Hey, you've got the laundry list of the red carpet talent coming to your podcast on a weekly basis, and it's fantastic, and it's definitely what the community needs. So, for the audience here today, appreciate you hanging out with us. I apologize that we weren't able to get to a lot of the comments in the chat. Usually I like to make sure I touch on every one of those. Today we just had, just a lot of conversation, a lot of stuff we were sharing on the stream. So I apologize for that. But I appreciate everyone for hanging out with us on stream. And, we'll be back. I'm sure we're talking more about land strategies, rebellion, all that stuff. And yeah, until then, keep stacking those stats.
Oh yeah, Tails. Thanks, guys. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers, Tails.